Chapter 1182, The City Lord's Mansion's Reaction, 2, Unfilial Son. Kneel down. Yan Kun roared, but the young master of the Yan family did not take it seriously. He continued to do what he wanted and even picked up the fruit on the table to eat. Butler, make this unfilial son kneel down. Seeing that his eldest son didn't even take his words seriously, Yan Kun couldn't help but become even angrier. Yes, City Lord. The butler replied. Just as he was about to move, he was stopped by the Yan clan's eldest young master. Audacious slave, who dares to touch me? The Yan family's eldest young master glared at him and roared. Eldest young master, your subordinate apologizes. The butler said apologetically. Then, he kicked the eldest young master's stomach. The eldest young master's knees gave way and he knelt on the ground. Dog slave, you dare to offend your superior? I am the young master of northern Yan City, and you dare to disrespect me. The Yan family's eldest young master said in anger. I'm sorry, young master. I'm only following the orders of the city lord. The butler didn't even look at the eldest young master as he spoke indifferently. Unfilial son, let me ask you, did you snatch people from the streets again? Yan Kun asked directly. So what if I am? It's their good fortune to be liked by me. Yan Kun said disapprovingly. TSK, he thought it was something big. It turned out that his father had called him over for such a trivial matter. This was really too much. Unfilial son, you're really audacious. You actually dare to rob anyone. You want our Yan family to be praised by you, don't you? Yan Kun roared in anger. Father, please calm your anger. Yan Tao saw that his father's expression was not right and quickly comforted him. Master, please calm down. The butler quickly said. Only the Yan family's eldest young master was unconcerned. He casually said, Is it that serious? Father, you're exaggerating. Housekeeper, go and get the family law. Today, I will beat this unfilial son to death, so that he won't bring disaster to our Yan family. Yan Kun was infuriated, especially when he saw the disapproving look on the young master's face. He was so angry that he couldn't keep this unfilial son of his alive any longer. Yes. The butler replied and turned to retrieve the family law. Please reading on MYB Ox No VL, the so-called family discipline was nothing more than a tool used by the great families to carry out punishment. When the Yan family's eldest young master saw the stick in the housekeeper's hand, which was thicker than his arm, his face turned green with fear. It must be known that this was not an ordinary stick, but a holy weapon passed down in the family. It was also specially made by a blacksmith hired by his father for the use of family discipline. As far as he knew, many people who had violated the Yan family's rules had died under this stick. He did not want to be hit, nor did he want to be a dead soul under the stick. Execute. Yan Kun said emotionlessly, Humph. The person he had offended this time was Ling Xiaoyu. For the good of the Yan family, he could not keep this son. Father. Don, T. Father. I was wrong, mother. Help me. When the steward's staff landed on the Yan family's eldest young master, the young master let out an earth-shattering cry for help. Arg! It hurts so much, mother. Save me, father is going to kill me. The Yan clan's eldest young master howled. His howl had indeed attracted the attention of the servants, and some of them even went to inform the eldest young master's mother, the lady of the city. Not long after, the city lord's wife arrived. When she saw her son's bloodied body, the anger in her heart exploded. Without thinking, she rushed forward and gave Yan Tao a slap. Yan Tao, who had been slapped, did not say a word, nor did he dodge. His pair of starry eyes stared straight at the city lord's wife. Damn you little bastard, you didn't even help when you saw the city lord beating up your big brother. The city lord's wife didn't dare to blame the city lord, so she could only vent her anger on Yan Tao, this son of a concubine. I wonder how auntie would like me to help. Yan Tao sneered and questioned. How dare you? Is this how you speak to your elders? The city lord's wife bellowed. This was truly heaven-defying. Never in her dreams would she have thought that the second young master who had always been cautious in front of her would actually dare to question her. This made her feel that her authority had been challenged. If you want others to treat you as an elder, then you have to act like one. Otherwise, no one will respect you. Yan Kun looked at Yan Tao with heartache and said in a cold tone, "Humph." This woman was getting more and more out of control. He had tolerated her for so many years, but she kept challenging his bottom line. This was outrageous. What does the city lord mean? Are you blaming me for hitting your precious son? The city lord's wife asked. Isn't Tao your son? You gave him a slap the moment you came up, and you still want him to respect you? Yan Kun sneered. Isn't that Qi, your son? How could you be so cruel? The city lord's wife retorted sarcastically, not showing any weakness. After she ran into the living room, the guests stopped the execution under the city lord's eye signal. I've pampered him too much in the past, and now he's caused an irreparable disaster. If I don't give him a good beating, how am I going to explain it to the other party? Yan Kun said angrily. Humph. You have the final say in this northern Yen city. What kind of disaster can't be fixed? Obviously, the mayor's wife didn't believe Yan Kun's words. She even believed that Yan Kun wanted to kill her son so that the little bastard could get the mayor's position. You really are a woman with long hair and short knowledge. I am merely the city lord of this little northern Yen city. In the entire divine continent and even the divine realm, there are many people that we cannot afford to offend. Do you really think that I, as the city lord, can do whatever I want? Yan Kun mocked. What did that Qi her do? I can't believe I made you so angry. After hearing Yan Kun's words, the mayor's wife's heart sank, but she also calmed down a bit. He snatched another woman yesterday. Yan Kun glared at his unconscious eldest son and said. So what if I snatched a woman? At most, well, just let him go. The city lord's wife said disapprovingly. In the past, Qi had done this kind of thing many times. After the city lord found out, he only gave a small punishment, then gave the woman who was robbed some money and let her go. Therefore, she did not think that this kind of thing was a big deal. That's easy to say. Do you know whose girl he's snatching this time? Yan Kun said angrily. Chapter 1183, The City Lord's Mansion's Reaction, 3, Who's that? The city lord's wife's face was full of question marks, her mind constantly turning back and forth, and secretly thought, could it be that the girl who was robbed had a very big background? If that was really the case, it was no wonder that the city lord would lose his temper. She's a junior of Her Excellency Ling Xiaoyu. Yan Kun growled. Ling Xiaoyu? Which Ling Xiaoyu? The city lord's wife didn't react for a moment. How many Ling Xiaoyus can there be? Yan Kun roared. City lord, are you sure it's that Ling Xiaoyu? Are you a fake? The mayor's wife had a look of disbelief on her face. If it was really the famous Ling Xiaoyu, why would she come to a small place like the northern Yen city? She really couldn't understand. Why don't you try pretending? Yan Kun said in an unpleasant tone. What do we do now? Hearing Yan Kun's words, the city lord's wife had no idea what to do. Although she was used to being domineering at home, she would definitely be the first to panic if something serious happened. You're asking me, but who should I ask? Yan Kun said with his eyes wide open. In fact, he had an idea in his heart, but he would not say it out easily. Father, the most important thing right now is to send back the girl that big brother snatched. Otherwise, if Lady Xiaoyu blames us, our entire Yan family can't afford to be punished. Yan Tao said calmly. Tower is right, but sending her back won't be enough to appease her anger. Yan Kun said after a moment of silence. Master, what should we do? I only have one son, you have to save him. The city lord's wife pleaded with tears in her eyes. At this moment, she had long lost her strength, and only had fear. Qi is my eldest son and the next city lord of Yanbei City. Do you think I would want something to happen to him? Yan Kun sighed and said helplessly. Madam, since that girl was snatched by Qi, then I'll have to trouble you to personally release that girl. You're both women, so it's easy for you to talk to each other. This way, we can also show our sincerity. Yan Kun said after thinking for a while. All right, master, I'll go now. After the city lord's wife finished speaking, she left the living room in a hurry, not even caring about her injured and unconscious son. Not long after the city lord's wife left, she came back dejectedly. Yan Kun and his son looked at each other and understood. Please reading on MYB Ox no VL, madam, why are you back so soon? Has that young lady settled down? Yan Kun pretended to be confused. Master, I wanted to arrange for that girl to leave the city lord's mansion, but she still refused to do so. The city lord's wife said gloomily. Actually, she still had one more thing to say. Not only did she say some nice things, but she had also threatened and bribed him. Who knew that he would not be moved at all and would insist that the city lord uphold justice? What did the lady say? Yan Kun asked anxiously. She asked you to seek justice. The Yan family must give her an explanation. Otherwise, you will bear the consequences. The city lord's wife said with an ashen face. She had always been a woman of her word in northern Yan City, but now, a little girl was not giving her any face. How could she not be angry from embarrassment? However, due to the other party's status, she had been holding back. Father, it seems like you have to make a trip down personally. After hearing the city lord's wife's words, Yen Tao spoke. Fine, I'll go and meet this girl. With that, Yan Kun strode into the guest room. When he first saw Wu, the first thing he felt was beauty. She was too beautiful. No wonder his incompetent eldest son wanted to snatch her back to his residence. However, this was a thorny beauty. How could she be so easy to snatch? If it was not resolved properly, he was afraid that all his years of business would be destroyed in one day. This was something that he absolutely could not tolerate. I am the city lord of Yanbei City. May I know your name, young lady? Yan Kun said in a friendly manner. How can my family's young lattice name be casually revealed to others? Wu did not say anything and just sat quietly on the chair. Lu Tao replied on his behalf. Ah. I've been presumptuous. Yan Kun looked a little embarrassed. City lord, my family's young miss isn't that easy to snatch. I'm afraid you can't afford the price of snatching our young miss. Lu Tao did not waste any words and went straight to the point. Miss, please state your conditions. As long as it's within my power, I will not let you down. Yan Kun said in a fawning manner. Oh, really? Since that's the case, then hand over the pervert who stole my family's young miss. As for the other conditions, we'll let you know when we've thought of them. Lu Tao said after some thought. Master, you can't hand the chess pieces over to them. Upon hearing Lu Tao's words, the city lord's wife quickly said. She was very afraid that Yan Kun would hand over his son in order not to offend Ling Xiaoyu. It seems that the city lord is not very sincere. Since that's the case, there's no need for us to continue our discussion. Lu Tao said with a hint of ridicule. You better shut up. How dare you threaten the city lord? I think you must be tired of living. Let me tell you the truth. Except for the few of us, no one knows that you are being imprisoned in the city lord's mansion. If we kill you, no one will know. So, you'd better be tactful. Don't blame me for being merciless if you annoy me. The city lord's wife couldn't help but threaten again. Her words made Yan Kun's face turn extremely ugly. This damn, stupid woman. At this time, Yan Kun really wanted to strangle her. However, as the saying goes, dirty laundry should not be spread in public, so he didn't think it was a good time to deal with his first wife. However, he also couldn't let his blind wife offend the two women in front of him. However, before he could open his mouth, Green Peach spoke first. Is the city lord's wife threatening us? If we were to lose even a single strand of hair, I'm afraid that the entire Yan-Bei city would be buried with us. That's right, I forgot to tell you that the other young lady in my family is the goddaughter of the current Ning clan head in the divine realm. Hearing Lu Tao's words, Yan Kun's heart, which was already in a state of panic, thumped even harder. All of a sudden, he sank to the bottom of the valley. At this time, he also had the heart to die. Wasn't it enough to offend Ling Xiaoyu? Now, the master of the Ning family was involved as well. Did he want to die? The Ning clan was a great crocodile of the divine realm. How could a small clan like them afford to provoke them? Chapter 1184, The City Lord's Mansion's Reaction. 4. When the city lord's wife heard Lu Tao's words, she was obviously stunned. Then, she laughed wildly and said, "Ha ha ha. Little girl, you're quite good at guessing. If you're the goddaughter of the master of the Ning family, then I'm the goddaughter of the divine master." Obviously, the city lord's wife didn't believe Lu Tao's words, but Lu Tao didn't mind. At least, she had achieved her deterrent effect, which was enough. She didn't expect the other party to believe her. "You shut up!" Yan Kun shouted after hearing his wife's words. "Old master, these two are clearly liars. They actually used the master of the Ning family to scare us. We can't let these two people live," the mayor's wife said to Yan Kun with a murderous look. "City lord, you have to choose carefully." Lu Tao also reminded with a faint smile, not a trace of anger on her beautiful face. "I'm sorry, my wife's mental state is a little abnormal. I think her illness has acted up, I hope you two don't mind too much," Yan Kun quickly said after hearing Green Peach's words. "Master," the city lord's wife was about to get angry, but she was knocked unconscious by Yan Kun who suddenly attacked. Looking at the city lord's wife who was lying on the ground, Wu smiled and asked in confusion, "City lord, what do you mean by this? The words just now were all nonsense when Furin's illness acted up. I hope that the two of you do not mind too much," Yan Kun said as he wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. "Don't mind. That's impossible." He paused for a moment before speaking. "Then how can young lattice anger be appeased?" Yan Kun asked helplessly. "Didn't my maidservant say that she wants you to hand over the person who snatched me?" "Of course, if the city lord is unwilling, I will not force you," Wu said calmly. "All right, I will hand that useless son over to the young lady to deal with." "Yes." Yan Kun agreed without hesitation. "City lord is a straightforward person, I am very satisfied. However, just this is not enough." Wu Yu chuckled. "What other conditions does Miss have?" Yan Kun couldn't help but ask. Please reading on myboxnovl.com, the city lord's son snatched me away and caused serious damage to my body and mind. You should at least give me some compensation," Wu said as a matter of course. "Don't worry, miss. I won't let you down," Yan Kun quickly promised. "City lord, I haven't finished my words, don't be too anxious. I understand the city lord's difficulties. I wonder if you have any thoughts of changing the current situation," Wu said with a faint smile. Wu's words were very subtle, but he believed that Yan Kun, who had been the city lord for many years, would understand. Moreover, he did not want Yan Kun to think that he was a person who would take things by force. Although they were interested in Yanbei City, it was only for the sake of better management of the territory that they had chosen. After all, for them, if the only way to the Nightmare Forest was in their hands, then their safety factor would greatly increase. The reason why Lu Tao had revealed that they were related to the Ning family was also to let the city lord understand how big his power was. If he had chosen this place, he could still get it by force. Sure enough, after hearing Wu's words, Yan Kun's expression changed drastically, but he still remained calm and said, "I naturally want to change the current situation. However, Yanbei City is, after all, left behind by our ancestors. Therefore, I can't be an unfilial descendant. Please allow me to consider it. Yan Kun's words were neither accepted nor completely rejected. They had made preliminary contact and had fully revealed their intentions to Yan Kun. Now it was up to Yan Kun to make his own choice. After the initial contact between the two sides, Yan Kun personally sent Wu Green Peach back to the hotel. Of course, his incompetent eldest son was also involved. However, he did not feel distressed. After all, in his opinion, it was a good deal to sacrifice his eldest son to keep the whole family safe. After returning to the city lord's mansion, Yan Kun locked himself in the study. Father, what happened? Yan Tao gently knocked on the door twice, then pushed it open and walked in, asking with concern. Tao, the Yan clan is in big trouble this time. Yan Kun said with a headache. Then, he told Yan Tao about the other party's plan. Father, if the other party is really as powerful as you say, they could have killed us all and then occupied this northern Yan city. However, they did not do so, which means that they are not bloodthirsty people. After all, the lives of the Yan family are the most important. Yan Tao thought for a while and advised. Chapter 1185, The Storm at the Yan Family, 1, Tao, how can I face my ancestors like this? Besides, I've kept the position of city lord for you. Yan Kun said with a sigh. Father, our Yan family is not even worth mentioning in the divinity. If we really anger the other party, won't the Yan family be the one to suffer? Moreover, it's not the same if we give up the city of our own accord as if they've taken it away. After all, the divine world is ruled by the strong. If we don't have the ability to defend our own territory, in the eyes of others, we'll only be regarded as incompetent. And my eldest uncle has always been eyeing Northern Salt City covetously. I admit that I am not cut out to be the city lord. Rather than letting Northern Salt City fall into my eldest uncle's hands, I would rather give it to an outsider. Yan Tao was very honest. In fact, he did think so in his heart. He did not want to be trapped in this city. He loved refining weapons the most, and once he became the lord of a city, he would not be able to focus on being a weapon master. Moreover, he knew his uncle's character. His uncle had planned for many years, how could he let the meat by his mouth benefit a bastard son like him? You don't regret it? Yan Kun watched his second son very seriously as he asked. Father, you should know that this is not my goal. Yan Tao said seriously. All right then. Then well do as you say, AI. If Her Excellency Leng Xiaoyu is willing to accept you as a disciple, Father will be even more at ease. Yan Kun said after thinking for a while. Dad, I'm already very satisfied that Lady Xiaoyu is willing to give me pointers. Why would I be so greedy? Yan Tao said with a smile. Hee, I was too greedy. Tao, it's rare that you can see it clearly, but you must grasp this opportunity. Remember to come to the inn more often when you're free. Yan Kun reminded. Okay, I'll go find Her Excellency Xiaoyu tomorrow morning. Yan Tao said impatiently. In the room of the inn. Leng Ruoxua looked at Wu, who was sitting opposite her, and teased, Wu, no one took advantage of you, right? Bad girl, do you really want me to be taken advantage of? They all asked. Why would I? Leng Ruoxua laughed evilly before asking, how do you plan to deal with the city lord's son? I want him to suffer a fate worse than death. Wu said through gritted teeth. Ah. Can I plead on his behalf? Leng Ruoxua chuckled. Please reading on MYB Ox no VL, of course not. Wu glared at Leng Ruoxua and said fiercely. All right then. However, I still have use for that fellow. Don't play him to death. Leng Ruoxua reminded. Yes, I know what I'm doing, Wu nodded and left the room. Not long after, Leng Ruoxua and the rest heard a series of howls coming from the room next door. The howls were so miserable that it made their hair stand on end. The howls had also attracted the attention of the inn's manager, waiters, and even the guests who were staying in the inn. Leng Ruoxue and the rest heard the noise outside and walked out of the room. When the shopkeeper saw them, he immediately came forward to welcome them and said with some difficulty, "Miss, I wonder what happened in that room?" "It's nothing. One of my subordinates' old illness acted up again. I'm really sorry to have disturbed the other people in the shop." Leng Ruoxue looked at the people in front of her and said guiltily, "Ah. May I know what illness young lattice subordinate is suffering from?" The shopkeeper asked with an awkward expression. "He's crazy. He's always delirious and likes to talk nonsense. He even likes to bite people when he's crazy." Leng Ruoxue explained with a smile. "Arg. Miss, he won't run out of the room and scare the other guests, right?" When the innkeeper heard this, he couldn't help but feel a little scared. To be honest, he really wanted to ask this beautiful lady in front of him if she could ask that person to move to another place to stay. However, he didn't dare and didn't want to offend these people who didn't seem to be easy to deal with. "Shopkeeper, don't be afraid. He won't run out of the room. It's just that when his illness acts up, his voice will be a little loud. However, it doesn't happen often. You can let the guests in the shop bear with it. Or, you can ask them to stay in another inn." Feng De put his arm around the manager's shoulder and suggested. "I'll tell them." The innkeeper said with a long face. "Wu, how could he let a guest stay in another inn? Wouldn't that be sending money to others? How could he be so foolish? Hee hee. Long live understanding." Feng De chuckled. Then, Leng Ruoxue and the rest closed the door and ignored the matter. The next day, when Yan Tao came to the door, he heard the miserable scream. The voice was familiar, but he ignored it. Instead, he went to Ling Xiaoyu and asked her for advice. That afternoon, Yan Kun came to visit Leng Ruoxue and the others. Sitting on a chair in the living room, Yan Kun felt a little nervous when he was faced with the probing gazes of the crowd. The young woman sitting opposite him was especially nervous. He was so nervous that he broke out in a cold sweat. Needless to say, that woman was Leng Ruoxue. This was his first time meeting Leng Ruoxue. Damn it, what was going on? Although he didn't dare to say that he was knowledgeable, there was no need for him to be so nervous and uneasy about a little girl. This was really too strange. "May I know why City Lord Yan has come to visit?" Leng Ruoxue asked knowingly. "Ah. A few days ago, that unfilial son of mine committed a mistake. As his father, I am willing to compensate him. Therefore, I am willing to give Yanbei City to all of you." Yan Kun carefully thought of his words and then said. "City Lord Yan, I really don't care about such a small city. In fact, I'm interested in the Nightmare Forest and want to make it my territory. However, the cities around it are the main roads into the forest, so I have to control them." Leng Ruoxue spoke the truth. Since Yan Kun had already made his choice, there was no need for her to hide her purpose. After all, she intended to take Yan Kun in for her own use. After hearing Leng Ruoxue's words, Yan Kun's eyes flickered. He did not reply immediately, but seemed to be deep in thought. "Miss Leng, are you planning to take over the cities around the forest for your own use?" Yan Kun asked after a while. "Yes, I am." Leng Ruoxue nodded. "Miss Leng, the Nightmare Forest is not a suitable place to be a territory. Otherwise, it would have been occupied by others long ago." Yan Kun couldn't help but remind her and secretly thought, this young lady has a big appetite. He actually wanted to make that forest his territory. In fact, in the past millions of years, it was not that no one had ever tried to take that forest, but they had never succeeded. Chapter 1186, The Storm at the Yan Family, 2, Why Not? Because it's dangerous? Leng Ruoxue asked with a smile. On one hand, it's dangerous. On the other hand, many forces go there every year to train and explore. If Miss Leng takes it as her private territory, I'm afraid it will cause opposition from all the major forces. At that time, Yan Kun didn't finish his words, but he believed that the young woman in front of him would understand. I am not a person who is afraid of trouble. Since I have decided to make that place my territory, I will not change my mind. City Lord Yan, I will now give you two choices. One is to leave Yanbei City, and the other is to continue to manage the city for me. I will give you 3 days. Make your choice. Leng Ruoxue said directly. Of course, if you're willing, I can also hand over Yannan City to you. Leng Ruoxue added. Yan Kun was shocked, but he did not say anything. He chose to leave and said that he would give Leng Ruoxue an answer within 3 days. After seeing Yan Kun off, Feng De looked at his lady with confusion and said, Young lady, why are you treating Yan Kun so differently? It's not like we can't find someone to manage this small city. I told you to mind your own business, what are you doing? Leng Ruoxue rolled her eyes at Feng De, I don't care. Feng De waved his hand repeatedly, afraid that his young lady would give him this task. If that happened, he wouldn't be able to follow the young lady. That would really be a loss that outweighed the gain. The Yan family has been living in Yanbei and Yannan City for at least several thousand years. They have their roots here, so of course Yan Kun would not be willing to leave. However, for the sake of the Yan family, he easily compensated us with Yanbei City. If he continued to stay in Yanbei City, wouldn't he become the uncrowned city lord? How could I keep him here? The only chance for him to stay here is to continue to manage Yanbei City for me. In the eyes of outsiders, Yanbei City still belongs to the Yan family. We just need to be the masters behind the scenes. Leng Ruoxue explained. Her ambition was not in northern Yan City, so she would not spend too much effort on such a small city. However, she had to let Yan Kun know that she was the true owner of northern Yan City. Will Yan Kun agree? Feng De asked curiously. He has no reason not to agree. He has deep feelings for Yanbei City, and he has put too much effort into this city. How could he not agree? Leng Ruoxue was sure that Yan Kun would agree to this. Therefore, she stopped paying attention to the city lord's mansion. At this time, Yan Kun had also returned to the city lord's mansion and was sitting in his study. His mind was in turmoil. He had not expected that he could continue to be the city lord. He could even take over Yannan City. Was this possible? Yannan City was the main city of the Yan clan. Moreover, his elder brother would not hand over the control of the city so easily. If that was the case, wouldn't the Yan clan in Yannan City be in trouble? One must know, looking at that Miss Leng's appearance, it was obvious that she was determined to get the few cities around the forest. Sigh. How could this be good? When he thought of this, he quickly summoned his confidant, gave him some instructions, and sent him to do something. In the bracelet. Leng Ruoxue leaned into the evildoer's embrace, enjoying the rare peace and quiet. Please reading on MYB Ox No VL, com, Shua, it's been 2 days, but Yan Kun still hasn't given us an answer. The demon chuckled. It doesn't matter. He'll agree sooner or later anyway. Leng Ruoxue said disapprovingly. Everyone knew about the hidden heart, and Yan Kun was no exception. In fact, Yan Kun had sent his confidant out of the city, and her senior brother had found out about it and informed her. She had not wanted to pay attention to the Yan family's situation, so she had to arrange for Qing Ju to observe the movements in the city lord's mansion. Sister. Qing Ju appeared in front of Leng Ruoxue and the demon. Qing Ju, what's the matter? Leng Ruoxue lifted her beautiful eyes and asked with a smile. Sister, some people from Yannan City have come to the city lord's mansion. Yan Kun is in trouble. Qing Ju reported. Oh. Let me know when Yan Kun's life is in danger. Leng Ruoxue nodded. Ah. Did sister know that Yan Kun's life would be in danger? Qing Ju's face was filled with surprise. He cared about the brotherhood, but unfortunately, the other party never treated him as a brother. So, he expressed the wrong feelings. This time, let's just treat it as a lesson for him. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. She was well aware of Yan Kun's intention. He wanted to persuade her brother to hand over Yannan City so as not to bring disaster to his clan. However, if he heard this, not only would he not thank him, but it would also arouse his anger. However, since she had chosen Yan Kun, she would not watch him be killed. At the same time, the city lord's mansion acted just as Leng Ruoxue had expected. Yan Kun looked at his elder brother, his heart filled with disappointment. Although his brother's character wasn't great, he didn't expect the other party to not care about the big picture at all. He was sending his clansmen to their deaths. Yan Kun, how dare you collude with outsiders to betray the Yan family? The head of the Yan family roared with a righteous look. This patriarch of the Yan family was about 50 years old. Although he looked upright, his slightly gloomy eyes revealed his true nature. He was a narrow-minded and jealous villain. Family head, not only did Yan Kun betray the Yan family, but he also handed Qi over to the other party for a bastard. You have to seek justice for Qi. Suddenly, a sobbing middle-aged woman ran up to Patriarch Yan and began to complain. Yan Kun, what do you have to say? The patriarch of the Yan clan asked. I have nothing to say. Since Big Brother has made up his mind, I won't say anything more. I, Yan Kun, have a clear conscience to the family. Yan Kun said indifferently. He had already done what he needed to do. Therefore, he could no longer decide what would happen to the Yan family. Men, take Yan Kun down and punish him according to the family law. The patriarch of the Yan family shouted after hearing Yan Kun's words. I'll see who dares to move. Uncle, if you dare to touch a single hair on my father's head, I will make this woman die a terrible death. Suddenly, Yan Tao's voice rang in everyone's ears. The city lord's wife, who had been crying and complaining, was now in his hand, and the bright knife was now held against the city lord's wife's neck. Chapter 1187, The Yan Family's Storm, 3, Master, save me. The city lord's wife cried out in shock. Are you threatening me? The Yan family head narrowed his eyes, his heart filled with anger. He had always thought that this kid was easy to manipulate. He didn't expect that he would reach out his claws today. In that case, don't blame him for being merciless. The people of the Yan family who had come with the head of the Yan family were speechless when they saw that Yan Tao had actually grabbed their own stepmother to threaten the head. Had this Yan Tao gone crazy? He had actually grabbed their father's wife to threaten the head of the family. What was this? At this moment, they all subconsciously thought that Yan Tao had been scared silly. How would I dare to threaten Big Uncle? Big Uncle can't be like the others and think that I'm scared silly, right? Seeing the reaction of the Yan family, he could guess what they were thinking. He was not interested in this city, but he did not want it to fall into his uncle's hands. Therefore, he would rather give it to an outsider. Unfortunately, his father was too stupid. He cared about the safety of his family, but he was killed by his family. This was something he would never allow. What do you want? The patriarch of the Yan clan asked with some anger. He hated Yan Tao so much that he was grinding his teeth. All of you, leave northern Yan city immediately. This place no longer belongs to the Yan family. If Miss Leng and the others find out about this, don't even think about returning to southern Yan city alive, Yan Tao warned. Unfortunately, his words didn't scare the Yan family. On the contrary, they were united against a common enemy. What young lady Leng? Why would our Yan family be afraid of him? Someone from the Yan family said. His words resonated with the others. Not afraid. You will regret this. Yan Tao laughed coldly. He had been in contact with Leng Ruoxue and the others for a few days and was very clear about how terrifying the identities of those people were. Unfortunately, his words carried little weight and no one took his words seriously. Tao, quickly leave this place. Seeing that Yan Tao had kidnapped his wife, Yan Kun quickly said. It didn't matter if he died, but he only had one son and he couldn't die here. Now it was obvious that the father and son were at a disadvantage. All the guards in the mansion had been subdued by his so-called elder brother. Father, if we're going to die, well, die together. I won't leave here. Yan Tao said stubbornly. Tao, Yan Kun was both angry and anxious. He knew that his son was very stubborn, but he did not expect Tao Er's temper to come up at this critical moment. Since you want to die together, I'll fulfill your wish. Hearing Yan Tao's words, the patriarch of the Yan family said coldly. Master, save me. At this time, the city lord's wife shouted again. Sister-in-law, it's not that I don't want to save you, nor do I want to kill you. If you want to blame someone, blame your own husband and this little bastard. The patriarch of the Yan clan said emotionlessly. You're the bastard. And a bastard who doesn't even let his own sister-in-law off. Yan Tao said with a look of disdain. Please reading on MYB Ox no VL, what nonsense are you spouting? The head of the Yan family was shocked to hear Yan Tao's words. He had always kept his dignity and had a high prestige in the family. Naturally, he did not want any scandals about himself to spread out. Then, he turned his eyes to Yan Kun. Seeing Yan Kun's calm face, he could not help but wonder how much Yan Kun knew. Uncle, am I talking nonsense? However, I'm quite impressed that you could disguise yourself for so many years. Aren't you tired? Yan Tao mocked. Auntie, it seems like the patriarch is planning to get rid of our family of 3. Don't you have anything to say? Yan Tao looked at the panic-stricken city lord's wife and asked. Master, I've done so many things for you, how can you be so heartless? Even if you don't care about me, you have to save your son. The city lord's wife said sadly, as if she had aged 10 years in an instant. She had thought that the man she had been thinking about was here to save their son. Who knew that they were actually here to seize the city? They had waited for so many years, could it be that they were still in a hurry? What are you talking about? Shut up. The patriarch of the Yan clan roared in anger. Hee, big uncle is really heartless. It seems that in your heart, your woman and son are not important. This northern Yan city is the most important. It's a pity that we have already given it away. Yan Tao chuckled. Damn it, what are you guys doing? Quickly execute these 3 traitors on the spot. The patriarch of the Yan family was furious. After he finished speaking, he released his divine power and attacked Yan Tao and the governor's wife. In an instant, several rays of colorful divine power were released from different directions at the same time, and their targets were all Yan Tao and the city lord's wife. Tao, be careful. After Yan Kun blocked the divine skill that was aimed at him, he saw several divine powers flying toward his son. He immediately shouted nervously. However, his warning was still too late. Yan Tao's hand was holding the city lord's wife, so his reaction was much slower than usual. Those divine skills were extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, they arrived in front of Yan Tao and hit him and the city lord's wife. Tao, Seeing Yan Tao fall to the ground, Yan Kun's heart ached. The hatred in his heart was ignited in an instant. He had endured for many years so that Tao could grow up safely. However, he did not expect that today, he would still watch his only son die. At this moment, his heart was full of regret. Why did he have to send the message to the other party on account of the relationship between his clan? Originally, he wanted to avoid the casualties of his clansmen, but he didn't expect that these so-called clansmen would turn around and deal with him. He gave up. Tower was right, they were not worth it. I'll send you and your father to hell to reunite. The Yan family head said coldly. Then, he waved the knife in his hand and slashed at Yan Kun. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning struck the saber in his hand. Then, an angry roar rang in everyone's ears, "You killed my mother, I'm going to kill you." Suddenly, everyone saw Yuan Xi holding a sword in his hand and stabbing straight at the head of the Yan family. However, Yuan Xi had been ignorant and incompetent since he was a child. Naturally, he was no match for the head of the Yuan family. In just one round, Yuan Xi was knocked to the ground, then spat out blood and passed out. It's said that even a vicious tiger would not eat its cubs. It seems that the head of the Yuan family is even worse than a wild beast. A faint mocking voice rang out. At this moment, the crowd finally noticed that there were still people beside Yuan Xi. It was a pity that their attention was all on Yuan Xi, hence they did not notice the presence of these people. In fact, this was also because Leng Ruoxue and the others had deliberately reduced their presence. Who are you people? This is the Yuan clan's family matter, so it's best if you don't meddle in other people's business. Offending our Yuan clan in this northern Yuan city will not do you any good. The head of the Yuan family looked at Leng Ruoxue and the rest warily and warned them. Yuan family head, are you planning to kill us? Leng Ruoxue understood. She really didn't understand what was there to fight over between two small cities. They were actually trying to kill each other, even though they were not born from the same mother. After observing in the dark for a while and using her mind-reading technique, Leng Ruoxue was able to sort out the grudge between the two brothers. It was nothing more than the former head of the Yuan family giving Yanbei city to the illegitimate son, which had caused the dissatisfaction of the first wife's son. Therefore, the first wife's son, who was the current head of the Yuan family, had tried his best to take back Yanbei city. However, he had not expected that his plan of many years would be ruined by her. Yan Kun had even advised his brother to be sensible and hand over the control of Yannan city to avoid bringing disaster to the family. This had angered the head of the Yuan family. However, who could say that Yan Kun did not do it on purpose? However, he didn't expect that the head of the Yuan family would be even angrier than he had imagined. At the same time, he had also brought disaster upon himself. So what if I kill you? Yanbei city is our Yuan clan's territory. The Yuan clan head said disapprovingly. Miss Leng. Chapter 1188, Linjiang City, 1, Thank you, Miss. Yan Kun took the elixir and was surprised to find that the elixir was flowing with a seven-colored light. He could tell that it was extraordinary at first glance. Therefore, he stuffed the elixir into his son's mouth without hesitation. Not long after, Yan Tao slowly woke up. When he saw Yan Kun, who was covered in blood, in front of him, his tears immediately flowed out and he cried out, "Father, why are you also?" Yan Tao could not finish his sentence. Yan Kun looked at his son and chided him, "Silly boy, why are you crying? We're not dead yet." Arg! Really? Yan Tao's face was full of surprise. He thought he was dead for sure, but now that he knew he was still alive, his mood of ups and downs was really bad. Tao, it was Miss Leng who saved us. Yan Kun said with embarrassment. If he didn't care about the friendship of his clan, this kind of thing wouldn't have happened in the city lord's mansion. At this moment, only the word, regret, could express his feelings. Thank you for saving my life, Miss Leng. Yan Tao said gratefully. Young Lady Leng, I'm willing to represent the Yan clan and recognize you as our master. Yan Kun said. Can City Lord Yan represent the entire clan? Leng Ruoxue asked with a smile. The branch of Yannan City has suffered countless casualties. Now that they are a group of dragons without a leader, it is the best time to subdue them. As the head of the Yuan family, after the head's death, I will naturally be the head of the family. Therefore, I can make the decision. Yan Kun said confidently. In his generation, he and the patriarch had the highest prestige. Now that the patriarch was dead and those who could oppose him had gone with the patriarch, who could stop him? If that's the case, then you and your father will follow Fengde to conquer the Yuan family in Yannan City. Those who submit will prosper, and those who resist will perish. Don't disappoint me. Leng Ruoxue said indifferently. Miss, don't worry. Yan Kun knows what to do. Yan Kun promised. After a while, the father and son of the Yan family followed Fengde and the others to Yannan City, while Len Ruoxue and the others returned to the inn. In the inn. Shui, can we trust this Yan Kun father and son? Ling Qingtian asked worriedly. Yan Kun had brought this upon himself, so he didn't feel any sympathy for him. Please reading on MYB OXNOVL, Grandpa, don't worry. He has already given up on the Yan clan in Yannan City. I have also saved his precious son, so he naturally has to perform well this time. Len Ruoxue said. I hope so. However, if he dares to play any tricks, I will definitely not let him off. Ling Qingtian huffed. Hee. Grandfather, he doesn't have the guts. Even if he did, I wouldn't be afraid. Len Ruoxue said confidently. That's good. Ling Qingtian was very assured of his granddaughter. 3 days later, Fengde and Yan Kun had finished dealing with the matters in southern Yan City and returned to northern Yan City. In the living room, Fengde was reporting to Len Ruoxue about the situation in Yannan City. Yan Kun and his son were standing beside him. After Fengde was done reporting, the father and son knelt down together and swore by their bloodline that they would forever be loyal to Len Ruoxue and would never betray her. After the contract was over, the Yan family had officially become Len Ruoxue's subordinates. Since the two cities of Yanbei and Yannan had been united, Yan Kun was still the city lord. However, other than himself and some of Master Ning's subordinates, no one knew that Yan Kun and the others had already belonged to Len Ruoxue. Their next plan was to conquer Netherwind, Willow, and Linjiang. Miss, I'm a good friend of the city lord of the Dark Wind City, and I also have business dealings with Fuliu City. Why don't you let this subordinate try out these two cities? Yan Kun quickly said after knowing the next step of the plan. Alright, I'll leave these two cities to you. Len Ruoxue nodded. She knew that Yan Kun was eager to show off, so she was happy to give him a chance. Please wait for the good news, miss. Yan Kun turned around and left. Half a month later. Yan Kun had brought back two people. They were none other than Ming Feng and the city lord of Fuliu City. The first thing Yan Kun did when he returned to Yanbei City was to bring them to the inn to see Len Ruoxue. In the guest room of the inn. The two of them sat on the chair with Yan Kun. They looked at Len Ruoxue uneasily and were so nervous that they could not speak. Yan Kun was also deeply affected by this scene because he was also very nervous when he first met Len Ruoxue. Yan Kun has told you my conditions, right? Submit to me, and you'll help me manage Dark Wind and Willow trees. You'll become my subordinates, and I'll naturally not mistreat you. Len Ruoxue was the first to speak. Miss Leng, City Lord Yan has already spoken to us. After some discussion, we are willing to acknowledge you as our master. However, our family now has an enemy who is also eyeing Dark Wind City like a tiger watching its prey. So, I'm afraid that acknowledging you as our master now will only bring trouble to you, Miss Leng. The city lord of the Dark North Wind City, Qi Mu, said with a troubled expression. In fact, he really wanted Miss Leng to help him eliminate his enemies, but he couldn't bring himself to say it. Moreover, he was also afraid that this devastatingly beautiful young lady would not be a match for his enemy. In reality, he still did not know Len Ruoxue's true strength. Yan Kun did not tell him in detail either. He only told him that Miss Leng was very powerful and it would not be wrong to acknowledge her as his master. At the same time, he was in a situation where he was trapped inside and outside. There were tigers and wolves outside, and his clansmen were in a state of panic. Hence, he had no choice but to agree to acknowledge her as his master. What's going on? Len Ruoxue asked calmly, her beautiful eyes sizing up Qi Mu. This city lord of Dark Wind City looked to be in his 40s, but he had an honest look on his face. He was an upright person. A few days ago, my clan's team that went to the Nightmare Forest for training accidentally discovered a heavenly treasure. I don't know how, but the news somehow reached the enemy's ears. The other party wanted to buy it by force, but I naturally refused. Therefore, the two sides were in a stalemate. In recent days, our Qi clan's clansmen have been injured or killed for no reason, which made me suspicious. After investigation, I found out that it was the enemy's doing. Qi Mu said angrily. The enemy's family is very powerful on the godly mainland. My Qi family is just a small family. Of course, we're not their match. Qi Mu added. He had agreed to the master's request only because he wanted to seek protection. However, after seeing Leng Ruoxue, he was a little hesitant. Could such a delicate young lady protect their Qi family? He did not want to implicate Leng Ruoxue because of the Qi family's disaster. Chapter 1189, Linjiang City, 2, is your enemy from the 8 great divine regions? Leng Ruoxue chuckled as she asked. No. After hearing Leng Ruoxue's words, Qi Mu's forehead was full of cold sweat. He thought to himself, if the other party is from the 8 great divine regions, no matter how unwilling I am, I would have to hand over the treasure with both hands. Moreover, the other party's purpose is not just this. What's there to be afraid of? Leng Ruoxue replied nonchalantly. In reality, even if the other party was from the 8 great divine regions, she was not afraid. Ah! Qi Mu was confused. Was he worrying for nothing? Qi Mu, since you're willing to recognize me as your master, your enemies are naturally mine as well. I'll take care of them for you. Leng Ruoxue laughed. Thank you, miss. I, Qi Mu, would like to represent the Qi family and recognize you as our master. Qi Mu quickly said. Then, he sent a blood contract to show his loyalty. After recognizing her as his master, the big stone in his heart was finally lifted. Since Miss said that she would take care of the enemy for him, he had nothing to worry about. After dealing with Qi Mu, Leng Ruoxue's beautiful eyes turned towards the city lord of Fuliu City. She smiled and asked, City Lord Lu, do you have any difficulties? Why don't you tell me? This subordinate does not have any difficulties. City Lord Lu Yong hurriedly said as if he was a subordinate. The Lu family was in a state of decline, so he wanted to find a backer. It just so happened that Leng Ruoxue had sent Yan Kun to negotiate with him. He had known Yan Kun for many years and they were in a cooperative relationship. Therefore, he naturally trusted Yan Kun's judgment. After discussing with the clan members, he decided to recognize Leng Ruoxue as his master. Following which, Lu Yong also issued a bloodline contract, officially acknowledging Leng Ruoxue as his master. After subduing 2 more cities, Leng Ruoxue's only target was Linjiang City. However, Leng Ruoxue wasn't in a hurry to take over Linjiang City. Instead, she planned to strengthen the defenses of the 4 cities that she had already taken over. Hence, she decided to add a defensive formation to each of the 4 cities. With the city lord's residence as the core of the defensive formation, its defensive capabilities would naturally be multiplied. After spending close to a month's time, Leng Ruoxue had set up a defensive formation in 4 cities. The group then headed to the last city around the Nightmare Forest that had not been conquered, Linjiang City. Linjiang City was located to the north of the Nightmare Forest. It was the largest city out of the 5, but it was not the most prosperous. The public security in Linjiang City was very poor. There were all sorts of people in the city. When Leng Ruoxue and the others walked on the streets, they would see fights happening from time to time. Please reading on MYB Ox No VL, Miss, the governor of Linjiang City is muddle-headed and incompetent. He's not someone worth subduing. Yan Kun, who had accompanied Leng Ruoxue and the others to Linjiang City, said. Oh. Let's wait and see. Leng Ruoxue said calmly. If the governor of Linjiang City was as Yan Kun had said, she would naturally choose another governor. The crowd immediately found a hotel. However, when they asked for the price, they were all shocked. How much do you think a night is worth? Feng Die's eyes were wide open as he asked in disbelief. 1 night's stay will cost 1 top-grade crystal stone. The inn manager said as he rolled his eyes at Feng De. He was secretly lamenting in his heart. Looking at the clothes of these people, they were clearly poor, so he naturally did not intend to entertain them well. Why is it so expensive? Is there anything special about your inn? Fengde looked at the decorations in the inn and found that they were quite ordinary, but the price was shockingly high. No, if you want to stay, pay up quickly. If you don't want to stay, please leave. Don't delay my business. There are so many people in Linjiang City now, I don't have to worry about not having enough people to stay in my inn. The inn manager said confidently. Why are there so many people in Linjiang City? Leng Ruhan could not help but ask. On the street, Yan Kun had said that there seemed to be more people in Linjiang City than usual. As for why, he did not know either. Now that the inn manager had said the same thing, he naturally wanted to ask. Don't tell me that you're not here for the city lord's daughter to choose a husband. The inn manager asked in disbelief. We're not. We just arrived at Linjiang City today. Leng Ruhan said honestly. He could not understand. Linjiang City was not that big. If the governor's daughter wanted to find a husband, was there a need for so many people to come? Then you've come to the right place. Our city lord is looking for a son-in-law for his daughter, so you should quickly go and register. Today is the last day. The shopkeeper reminded. Why do we need to register? Fengde didn't understand. Whoever marries the city lord's daughter will be the next city lord of Riverbank City. Such a good thing is like a pie falling from the sky. If it wasn't for the fact that I didn't meet the requirements, I would have signed up for it long ago. The shopkeeper said with a face full of regret. Ah! Fengde was speechless. He was deeply ashamed of the shopkeeper's thoughts. He couldn't understand why so many men would covet a mere city lord's daughter. Could it be that men nowadays have fallen to the point where they need to rely on women to achieve success? One had to know that he looked down on men who lived off women the most. Do you guys want to stay here or not? Don't delay my business. The shopkeeper couldn't help but ask. Of course we're staying, get us a room. Leng Ruoxue said. All right. Hearing Leng Ruoxue's words, the shopkeeper immediately beamed with joy. His expression changed so quickly that Fengde and the others looked down on him. After entering the room, Leng Ruoxue took a look at Fengde and the rest. She could not help but tease, whoever wants to be the son-in-law of Linjiang City can go and register. Today is the last day. Ah! Miss, don't joke with us. We won't sign up. Lin Yuan said with a bitter face. Not to mention that they still didn't know whether the daughter of Linjiang City was round or flat, even if she was an absolute beauty, they didn't want to live off a woman. Hee hee, you guys do as you please. I'm going to rest. After Leng Ruoxue finished speaking, she pulled the evildoer into the room. Fengde and the others had nothing to do, so they took Yan Kun as a guide and went for a walk on the street. They didn't return from the streets until evening. When they saw Leng Ruoxue, Fengde and the rest could not wait to tell her what they had seen and heard on the street. Young miss, we went to the city lord's mansion today. Before Fengde could finish his sentence, he was interrupted by Leng Ruoxue. Chapter 1190, Linjiang City, 3, Are you going to register? Leng Ruoxue asked with an evil smile. Ah. Of course not, we're just going to watch the show. The people who are registering in front of the city lord's mansion are lined up for almost 2 streets. I really couldn't tell that the daughter of the governor of Linjiang City is so attractive. Fengde said, speechless. Those people aren't after the city governor's daughter, so they don't care what she looks like. Leng Ruoxue said. My lady, the governor of Linjiang City is named Jiang Fan. He is a greedy and lecherous man. Although he has many wives and concubines, he only has one daughter. However, I really don't understand. With the long lifespans of cultivators, why is he in such a hurry to find a husband for his only daughter? Yan Kun asked with a puzzled look. You don't have to understand. This has nothing to do with us. Our target is Linjiang City. Therefore, we just have to find a way to make Linjiang City our own. Len Ruoxue said disapprovingly. Miss, why don't we just snatch it? Lin Yuan suggested. Then aren't we bandits? Len Ruoxue retorted. Ah. Lin Yuan was speechless. Could it be that Miss is still counting on the city lord of Linjiang City to hand over Linjiang City? Hee, there's no rush. Let's observe for a few more days. Len Ruoxue was very calm. Then, she ordered Yan Kun, go to the city lord's mansion tomorrow and see that Jiang Fan. Find out what his purpose is. Yes. Yan Kun replied. The next day, Yan Kun brought Fengde to the city lord's mansion. With his status as the city lord of Yanbei City, the Jiang family's steward invited him into the city lord's mansion with great respect. After sitting in the living room for a while, Jiang Fan appeared. Hee. City Lord Yan has come to visit. Please forgive me for not welcoming you. Jiang Fan said very politely. Jiang Fan looked to be around 50 years old. He was slightly chubby, had ordinary facial features, and his steps were a little weak. It was obvious that he was addicted to beauty all year round. Please reading on MYB Ox no VL, City Lord Jiang is too polite. Actually, I was just passing by, so I came to see you. Yan Kun said. In fact, he and Jiang Fan were only acquaintances who nodded at each other. It was a bit far-fetched to say so. Oh. Jiang Fan nodded and didn't think much about it. City Lord Jiang, after I entered the city, I heard that you were going to choose a husband for your daughter. You even promised to give the city lord's position as a betrothal gift? Yan Kun asked out of curiosity. Yup. I should also find her a husband, and I can't sit on this city lord's position forever, I have to find a successor. Jiang Fan said matter-of-factly, and his words were also reasonable, so no one could find any fault with them. Why didn't City Lord Jiang pass the position of City Lord to his daughter? Wouldn't this mean that the Jiang family still owns the city? Yan Kun suggested. At the same time, he was testing the waters. Even if it's passed down to my son-in-law, Linjiang City will still be the Jiang family's. I won't let Linjiang City fall into the hands of outsiders. Jiang Fan said confidently. City Lord Jiang, don't blame me for being meddlesome. I always feel that even if a man married into the family, he might not be of the same heart as Miss Jiang. So, passing the city lord's position to his son-in-law is really not a safe choice. If that man has other thoughts, City Lord Jiang would be raising an ungrateful wolf. Yan Kun said worriedly. He didn't forget to observe Jiang Fan's reaction as he spoke. When he saw Jiang Fan only frowning slightly, the doubt in his heart deepened. Hee. I've also thought about City Lord Yan's considerations, but my daughter is not cut out to be a city lord. I have no choice. Jiang Fan said with a depressed look. Then City Lord Jiang should open your eyes wide and choose carefully. Yan Kun reminded. City Lord Yan, don't worry. I still have good judgment. Jiang Fan nodded seriously. After a while, Yan Kun and Fengde left. On the way back to the inn, Yan Kun looked at Fengde and couldn't help but ask, what do you think? Isn't the official selection of son-in-law 3 days later? Well, know when we go and take a look. Fengde said with a smile. He didn't care who the son-in-law of the Jiang family was, but he didn't mind watching the show. 3 days passed by quickly. On the day of the selection, Len Ruoxue and the rest arrived early. As the selection of the son-in-law was open to the public, Jiang Fan had specially ordered people to build a stage in the most lively city center. He had even posted a thread to the famous people of Linjiang City, inviting them to be judges. As the city lord of Yanbei City, Yan Kun was naturally among the invited. As a judge, Yan Kun naturally had to sit in the judge's seat. As Yan Kun's companions, Len Ruoxue and the others also got better seats. It was said that there were thousands of men who had signed up this time. After an initial screening by the city lord's office, only the most outstanding 200 were left, and the son-in-law of the Linjiang city lord would be chosen from these 200. The selection was divided into 3 days. The first day's process was mainly self-introduction and the display of their best talents. Finally, the judges would decide the 100 men who could participate in the second day's selection. After the 200 men had finished their self-introductions, Green Peach asked quietly, "Miss, who will win?" "I don't know," Len Ruoxue said uninterestedly. She didn't think that Jiang Fan would use the process of a beauty pageant to choose a husband for his daughter. It seemed like he placed a lot of importance on the selection of a husband. Hee. I'm quite optimistic about that number 3. Lu Tao said with a smile. Because I'm handsome. Len Ruoxue understood. Number 3 had a handsome face, and it was indeed very easy for women to be attracted to his appearance at first glance. However, he was a restless man, so Len Ruoxue did not have a good impression of number 3. Yup. It's only pleasing to the eye when you're handsome. Lu Tao said, unafraid of death. What's the use of being handsome? He's just a pretty boy. When Feng De heard Lu Tao's words, he said with jealousy burning in his heart. He knew that Lu Tao was deliberately angering him because he was very curious about the appearance of the city lord's daughter. How is it useless? It's good to see it. Lu Tao said in an unpleasant tone. Green Peach, Feng De looked at Green Peach pitifully. His expression was as aggrieved as he could be. Chapter 1191, Linjiang City, 4, Miss, today's selection has ended. Let's go back. Lu Tao ignored Feng De's pitiful act and said to Len Ruoxue. Yes. Len Ruoxue smiled and nodded. Following that, everyone returned to the inn. Len Ruoxue and the rest did not go to watch the competition on the second day. After all, they had seen all the candidates and they were not very interested in who would win. On the last day, Len Ruoxue and the rest left the inn and went to the selection venue. After 2 days of selection, there were only 20 candidates left. These 20 people could be considered as 1 in 10,000 elites. Whether it was their appearance or cultivation, they were the best among the applicants. After 2 rounds of demonstration, only 10 of these 20 people were left, and number 3, who Green Peach had a better view of, was naturally among them. Immediately after, the host of this selection invited the city lord's daughter out. As it turned out, as the most outstanding candidates, the last obstacle that the 10 of them had to pass was to gain the favor of the castellan's daughter. To put it bluntly, it was up to the castellan's daughter to decide who she fancied. Whoever she fancied would be the future governor of Linjiang City. Lu Tao and the others who were sitting below the stage stretched their necks to see the true face of the city governor's daughter. However, after waiting for a long time, they still did not see a woman walking up the stage. Miss, this city lord's daughter is so haughty. Lu Tao said with a dissatisfied expression. She's a girl. Of course, I have to be more reserved. Len Ruoxue laughed evilly. As soon as she finished speaking, someone in the audience shouted that the castellan's daughter had arrived. Instantly, everyone's eyes were drawn to her. Not long after, everyone saw a moving round ball rolling up the stage. The reason why she rolled was because the city lord's daughter accidentally fell down when she was walking up the stage. Coupled with her slightly fat figure, she rolled directly to the feet of the male candidates. When everyone saw this scene, they couldn't help but laugh in their hearts. Ah! The appearance of the city lord's daughter is quite special. Lu Tao was speechless. No wonder the governor of Linjiang City was in such a hurry to choose a husband for his daughter, and even used Linjiang City as a betrothal gift. Without Linjiang City, it would not be easy for the daughter of the governor to get married. When the city governor's daughter crawled up from the ground, everyone saw her appearance even more clearly, and instantly, the people present couldn't help but retch. Please reading on MYB Ox no VL, fuck, is he even human? Not only was she fat, but she was also so ugly. What was even more unbearable was that she was drooling as she stared at the 10 men on the stage with a dazed expression. When the 10 men saw the appearance of the city governor's daughter, 4 of them immediately expressed their intention to forfeit and withdraw from the competition. In the blink of an eye, there were only 6 candidates left on the stage, and they had been hesitating. The city lord's daughter was a little disappointed that 4 beautiful men had left, but when she remembered that she still had 6 choices, she immediately became elated. However, before she could be happy, 3 more men who were hesitating announced that they had forfeited. The city governor's daughter looked at the 3 remaining men on the stage and pointed her finger without hesitation, choosing her future husband. The man she chose was number 3, whom Green Peach had a better opinion of. When the other 2 men saw this, they seemed to be relieved and walked down the stage in high spirits. In fact, if they were not from Linjiang City, they would have forfeited as well. However, when they thought of the authority of the city lord, they had no choice but to stand on the stage and let the city lord's daughter choose. Seeing that his daughter had made her choice, Jiang Fan happily walked up to the stage and announced the identity of the 3rd man as the future city lord. Then, he decided to hold a banquet in the city lord's mansion to celebrate and invited all the citizens in the city to attend. However, Len Ruoxue and the others were not interested in this, so they went back to the inn. The next morning, Len Ruoxue and the others went to the restaurant to have breakfast. The moment they entered the restaurant, they heard some guests whispering. Although their voices were very soft, they still managed to make their way into their ears. "What were you guys talking about?" Len Ruoxue pretended to be confused and asked. Faced with such a beautiful woman's question, the 2 men who were talking immediately replied politely, "Young miss still doesn't know. Something happened in the city lord's mansion yesterday, and many people died." The person who spoke had a face full of regret, but at the same time, there was a trace of relief. "Wasn't yesterday a good day for the city lord's daughter to choose her husband?" Len Ruoxue probed. "Yup. It was supposed to be a happy occasion, but in the end, it became a funeral." Sigh. It's really too pitiful. None of the people who went to the city lord's mansion for the banquet yesterday were spared, and the city lord's family was completely annihilated. The man said. Chapter 1192, Yuan Xi, 1, How could this be? Then wouldn't Linjiang City be a group of dragons without a leader? Len Ruoxue asked worriedly. I don't think so. The future city lord is still alive, even though he's heavily injured. The man said with an envious look. The future city lord? Didn't he not marry the city lord's daughter yet? Would the people of Linjiang City allow him to be the city lord? Len Ruoxue's beautiful face was filled with confusion as she asked. I think so. After all, the future city lord was personally appointed by the city lord himself. There's no one else in Linjiang City who's suitable for this position. The man said after thinking for a moment. Oh. After a simple chat and getting to the bottom of what they wanted to know, Len Ruoxue and the rest had a simple meal and returned to the living room. After returning, everyone could not help but ask the question in their hearts. Miss, it's only been one night, how did all the people in the city lord's mansion die out? It's so strange. Fengde said in surprise. It's a good thing I didn't go to the city lord's mansion yesterday. Otherwise, I would have been one of the people who died today. Yan Kun said fearfully. Old Yan, you've saved your life. It seems like you can't eat random things. Fengde patted Yan Kun's shoulder and consoled him with a smile. Yup. Yan Kun wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. He was obviously shocked. Who said that all the people in the city lord's mansion are dead? Isn't the former city lord's new son-in-law still alive? Len Ruoxue chuckled as she reminded him. Ah. Everyone was speechless. They weren't fools and could easily figure out the hidden trick in this matter. Fengde, take some men with you to check the situation. Also, check if there are any other surviving members of the Jiang family. Len Ruoxue thought for a moment and ordered. Yes, miss. Yes, master. Feng De replied. Then, he left the inn with Lin Yuan and the others. After 3 days of secret investigation, Feng De and the others confirmed that no one survived in the city lord's mansion. However, it was said that the dead Jiang Fan had a younger brother. However, that younger brother made a mistake decades ago and was exiled to the countryside of Linjiang city to fend for himself. Please reading on MYB Ox no VL, com. After that, Len Ruoxue sent Feng De and the rest to look for her clan brother. 2 days later, Jiang Fan's younger brother was brought back by Feng De and the others. In the living room, Len Ruoxue's beautiful eyes were observing her clan brother. She saw that he had a nervous expression and did not even dare to raise his head. Furthermore, his clothes were torn and tattered, and his strength was not high. He was only at the initial level of deity. From the looks of it, he did not have a good life. The moment she saw him, Len Ruoxue knew that he couldn't have been the one behind the incident at the city lord's residence. Firstly, he didn't have the ability to do so. Secondly, he didn't have such a powerful influence. You're Jiang Nuo? Len Ruoxue asked despite knowing the answer. Yes, I'm Jiang Nuo. Jiang Nuo whispered. You should know about Jiang Fan's matter, right? Len Ruoxue asked indifferently. Yes, Captain Feng has told me about it. Jiang Nuo quickly replied. Do you know what I want you to do? Len Ruoxue asked with a smile. Miss. Are you planning to let me replace you? Jiang Nuo asked carefully, his heart pounding. Could there be such a good thing? He didn't dare to believe it. That's right. I need Linjiang City and someone to help me manage it. So, you must recognize me as your master and I will help you get Linjiang City. Len Ruoxue stated her conditions. Good. However, on my way to the city, I heard that there's a new city lord in Linjiang City. I'm afraid, Jiang Nuo was a little worried and did not finish his sentence. You're a member of the Jiang family, that person isn't. Len Ruoxue said with a smile. Then I'll listen to Miss. Jiang Nuo promised. He then issued the bloodline contract and officially recognized Len Ruoxue as his master. Alright, go and have a good rest now. I'll ask Feng De to help you take back Linjiang City tomorrow. Len Ruoxue said indifferently. Yes, this subordinate will take his leave. Jiang Nuo said as he turned around and left the living room. He's really lucky. This is a meat pie that fell from the sky. Feng De sighed. None of you like to eat pies, so I'll have to find someone else. Len Ruoxue rolled her eyes at Feng De and said helplessly. Hee hee. Feng De laughed awkwardly. Miss, Jiang Fan has forced Jiang Nuo to the countryside to fend for himself for decades. Can he manage Linjiang City well? Yan Kun said worriedly. Don't worry. He'll be fine. Len Ruoxue said with certainty. If it wasn't for the fact that he had scruples about his clan brother's abilities, Jiang Fan wouldn't have found an excuse to dismiss him. She was very clear that Jiang Nuo was still holding a grudge in his heart. She had given Jiang Nuo this good opportunity, and he would definitely seize it. The next morning, accompanied by Feng De and the others, Jiang Nuo headed to the city lord's mansion. When they arrived at the city lord's mansion, the crowd killed number 3 and his subordinates with lightning speed. Then, they announced to the public that Jiang Nuo was the only member of the Jiang family and would be the next city lord of Linjiang City. The people in the city were in an uproar. However, due to Feng De and the others' ruthless methods, no one dared to raise any objections. At the same time, Feng De showed evidence of number 3 killing Jiang Fan and the others, which aroused the public's anger. Jiang Nuo's ascension to the city lord's position was even more successful. Miss, it's done. After taking care of everything, Feng De rushed back to the inn alone. Well, there might be people walking into the trap in the next few days. You have to be more vigilant at night. Len Ruoxue nodded as she reminded. Don't worry, miss. We've already set up an inescapable net and are just waiting for the fish to take the bait. Feng De laughed evilly. For the next few days, they would stay with Jiang Nua in the city lord's mansion and deal with those who had bad intentions. However, after waiting for a few days, there was still no movement from the city lord's mansion. On the other hand, Jiang Nua was getting more and more familiar with the affairs of Linjiang city. In the room of the inn, Leng Ruoxue leaned against the window and looked at the pitch-black night sky. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky, and it looked like it was about to rain. She couldn't help but smile and turn to the demon. Today is a good day to do bad things. Hee hee. This kind of weather can indeed make people lower their guard, but I don't like to do bad things in the rain. The demon said with a look of disdain. Even if you don't like it, it doesn't mean that others don't like it. The city lord's mansion is very lively now, let's go and take a look. Leng Ruoxue laughed evilly. She had just received Qing Ju's voice transmission and knew that there was a guest at the city lord's mansion. Chapter 1193, Yuan Xi, 2, Let's go. The demon smiled helplessly and left the inn with Leng Ruoxue. Naturally, those who wished for the world to be in chaos also left with them. When they arrived at the city lord's residence, Leng Ruoxue saw Feng De and his men in black fighting with a group of men in black. The number of men in black was more than twice that of Feng De and his men. Isn't this bullying the few with numbers? It's so unfair. When Leng Ruoxue saw this scene, she said with slight dissatisfaction. Ah. When Cheng Wu heard his latest words, the corner of his mouth twitched. He thought to himself, why do I feel like this is bullying the many with the few? From the looks of Feng De and the others, they were clearly having a great time killing. No, he had to join in the fun. When he thought of this, he took the initiative to help Leng Ruoxue before she could say anything. Seeing that Cheng Wu had joined the battle, Song Di and the rest did not want to be outdone and rushed into the battlefield. In an instant, the situation turned into a one-sided battle. When Feng De and the rest, who were having fun bullying the many with their numbers, saw this situation, they could not help but shout as if they were protecting their food, "Don't fight with us, these people are ours." Hee hee. Whoever sees it gets a share. Cheng Wu and the rest laughed evilly. As the blade in their hands fell, the man in black instantly fell to the ground and lost his life. Yan Kun and Jiang Nua, who weren't very clear about their fighting strength, couldn't help but widen their eyes when they saw this scene. They secretly thought to themselves, these people are so ruthless. AI. How did the unlucky man in black end up in their hands? At this moment, they felt a deep sense of sympathy for the group of men in black who had unknown origins. Not long after, most of the men in black were eliminated. However, Feng De and the others still kept one alive and locked the remaining man in black in the prison of the city lord's mansion for a good interrogation. With the ownership of Linjiang city, the 5 cities surrounding the Nightmare Forest were now in Leng Ruoxue's possession. After setting up a defensive formation for Linjiang city, Leng Ruoxue and the rest headed towards the forest. Sitting on the little peacock, Leng Ruoxue's beautiful eyes surveyed the 3 towering peaks. She chose a relatively flat mountain as the main peak for her group. The environment here is really good, hee hee. I'm going to build a house here too. I'll come over to stay when I'm free. Master Ning looked at the lush green scenery in front of him and was in a good mood. Godfather, you can come and live here anytime you want. Leng Ruoxue reminded him helplessly. She couldn't help but mutter to herself, did this old man think that I wouldn't let him stay here? Hee hee. Are you the master? Of course, I have to say hello to you. Master Ning said matter-of-factly. In fact, he was just being polite, because he knew that little would not refuse him. Godfather, I can't be considered the owner of this place yet. Leng Ruoxue reminded him. To own a territory, it wasn't something that could be considered as one's own. One had to obtain the acknowledgement of half of the factions on the godly mainland. Otherwise, the territory wouldn't truly belong to one's own. If I say it is, then it is. I'll see who dares to object. Master Ning's eyes widened, and he roared aggressively. He didn't believe that anyone would dare to oppose his precious goddaughter's decision to take a piece of land. Please reading on MYB Oxen OVL, Godfather, let's just build the house first. Leng Ruoxue wiped away the cold sweat on her forehead and changed the topic. Alright, but I'm telling the truth. Master Ning reminded. Yes, yes. Leng Ruoxue agreed helplessly. However, with Godfather around, there wouldn't be too many people who would object. Miss, the wood has been cut. At this moment, Fengde came back and said. Let's do it. Leng Ruoxue took out a few blueprints from her bracelet and passed them to Fengde. Back in Linjiang City, she had drawn up a few blueprints based on everyone's opinions. The house they were going to build, the courtyard, and the interior of the house, was similar to the house in the water margin continent. This request was naturally to satisfy her grandfather's homesickness, but there were also new things added, so it was not exactly the same. The location they chose as the main residence was located halfway up the mountain. It was an unusually large and flat area, and the main residence was surrounded by a river. The river was not very large, and from the outside, it looked like a silver ribbon, full of a faint chill. The river was so clear that fish could be seen swimming happily in it. After more than half a month of hard work, the main residence was finally completed. Everyone moved into their rooms happily and celebrated. Shortly after, Leng Ruoxue announced to the godly mainland that the nightmare forest was taken. Instantly, it caused a huge commotion on the mainland. At the same time, Leng Ruoxue set up a defensive formation around the mountain peak they were staying at. The defensive power of this formation was much stronger than the one she had set up before. Bang bang bang. After a few loud sounds, the defensive formation did not move at all. Master Ning, who was testing the power of the defensive formation, said in surprise, Shui, your array is so powerful. I can't even break it. Godfather, you can't display your true power on the divine continent. Leng Ruoxue couldn't help but remind him. Actually, this array didn't seem that powerful to her. However, it was true that no one in the godly mainland could break through it. I'm still a reverent god. Come, let's try attacking together. Unwilling to give up, Master Ning called his subordinates and planned to attack again. Yes. Yes, Master Ning. Master Ning's subordinates replied. Then they attacked the defensive formation together. Bang bang bang. There were several more loud sounds, but the defensive formation was still operating as usual. Hee hee. This formation is so sturdy, I can rest assured. Master Ning said with a little pride. This array was set by his goddaughter, and he, as her godfather, was also honored. In fact, he had spared no effort to test the defensive power of this array because he was afraid that someone would bully his precious goddaughter when he was not around. Now that he had tested it, he was relieved. If he could not break the array, then unless the Divine Master came personally, no one could break in. Little girls, to congratulate you on obtaining your own territory, this is my gift to you. The first elder took out a small and exquisite house from his ring and passed it to Leng Ruoxue. Chapter 1194, Yuan Xi, 3, Why is it a high-grade divine artifact? Stinky old man, you're too stingy. Old Master Ning looked at the palm-sized house and said with disdain. What do you know, you old thing? A high-grade divine weapon is just right for them to use. Furthermore, my house can grow. When the little girl's strength is high, the level of this house will also increase. The first elder said with a smug look. How could he possibly only gift a high-grade divine weapon to that lass, Leng Ruoxue? With his status, how could he take it out? He felt that this house was suitable for Leng Ruoxue and the rest. To put it bluntly, he had prepared this house for Leng Ruoxue when she entered the god world. This house and the storage ring were both spatial artifacts, but there were still some differences. The storage ring could only store non-living objects, but this house could be used for living. It should be known that such a spatial artifact was absolutely priceless in the divine realm. It was a good item that could not be bought even with money. The main reason was that it could be carried around, and it was very convenient to carry it wherever you went. However, it was also very difficult to refine such spatial equipment. Not only did it require a lot of materials, but it also depended on the artifact master's proficiency in the refining technique. Moreover, the success rate was very low. If Len Ruoxue didn't have the universal bracelet, this house would be very useful to her. However, she was still very grateful for the First Elder's kind intentions. As a weapon craftsman, she was very clear how difficult it was to craft a spatial-type equipment. Furthermore, the First Elder had been hiding in his room for the past few days, so he must have been busy crafting this house. Really? Let me see. Master Ning took the house from Len Ruoxue's hands and observed it carefully. It was fine with a glance, because he realized that this house was exactly the same as the main residence they were living in now. It seemed that this old thing was quite thoughtful. First Elder, thank you. This is for you. Len Ruoxue took out a milky white object the size of a baby's fist and looked soft, and handed it to First Elder. This is... The First Elder looked at the soft white object and couldn't help but widen his eyes, his face full of disbelief. The item that Len Ruoxue gave him was called Essence Qi. It was a type of natural treasure that was born from the heavens and earth. It was mainly produced in the glaciers of the deep sea. Not only was it rare, but it was also difficult to pick. Hence, the price of Essence Qi was only higher than the house that he had given Len Ruoxue. Moreover, only with the primary breath could one refine space-type equipment that could accommodate people, because the primary breath's greatest effect was to create air that was suitable for human breathing. However, the vital breath he had used to refine this house was only the size of a fingernail, while the one Len Ruoxue had given him was the size of a baby's fist. He could not help but feel embarrassed to take it. Even though it was not easy to obtain his own vital breath, such a large piece of it could be used to refine a few spatial-type equipment. He did not deserve it. Girl, this is too expensive. I can't take it. Although the First Elder was envious, he did not take the piece of origin breath. Compared to the Great Elder's kind intentions, this is nothing. Len Ruoxue replied nonchalantly. This elemental breath was one of the many ingredients that her master had left for her. Furthermore, she had chosen the smallest piece for the Grand Elder. Otherwise, the Grand Elder would have fainted from shock. Mo Yen and Lu Feng probably don't have such equipment either. This should be enough for you. Len Ruoxue added. In other words, she was saying that this item was not for you alone. Ah. They just happened to be lacking this elemental breath. The First Elder was a little speechless. This little girl had already seen through their thoughts, so how could he still refuse? He took the piece of primordial breath and was about to put it into his ring, but Master Ning snatched it away. Please reading on myboxnovel.com, this is elemental breath. Let me take a look. Master Ning's face was full of curiosity. Although he had lived for a long time, he had never seen this thing before. Who asked him to not be interested in refining weapons? Holding the vital breath in his hand, Master Ning looked at it carefully, and then kept poking the soft vital breath with his fingers, playing with it. Old man, this is not for you to play with. Seeing this, the head elder snatched back the vital breath and looked at Master Ning like he was guarding against wolves. Stinky old man, don't be so stingy. It's such a big piece of primordial qi, and it's a gift from my goddaughter. When you make another spatial equipment, you have to give me one. Master Ning took advantage of the situation. This is a gift from my god-granddaughter. It's none of your business. The First Elder rolled his eyes and said in an extremely calm manner. Stinky old man, how can you do this? After all, we've been friends for so many years. You can't even bear to give me a house. Oh. Just make it according to my house in the divine realm. Master Ning continued, obviously wanting a share of the loot. It's not impossible if you want the house, but you have to prepare the materials yourself. The great elder said without any room for discussion. In his heart, he kept thinking, if this bandit had the materials, he would have made one for himself long ago. Would he still need to live in a tent? I can provide the materials myself, but you have to provide the essence energy. Master Ning wasn't stupid. The most important material for making inhabitable spatial equipment was this vital breath, and vital breath was something that was hard to find and couldn't be bought on the market at all. Therefore, he could only be lazy to deal with this stinky old man. Elemental breath? Master Ning, if you want this old man to provide the breath, why don't you arrange people to search in the glacier yourself? At this time, Lu Feng's voice interrupted. Stinky brat, it's easy for you to say, but do you think primary breath is like cabbages? If it was so easy to find, I would have sent people to look for it. It wasn't easy to go to the glacier to find the breath of vitality, because the breath of vitality was produced in the depths of the glacier. Unless one had the strength of a reverent god, they couldn't resist the cold of the glacier at all, let alone go down into the extremely cold water. Then why did you still let this stinky old man provide you with essence breath? He knew that his grandfather did have a small piece of vital breath in his hands. It was a precious treasure. If it wasn't for the fact that his grandfather didn't have enough materials, he would have refined it into a piece of equipment long ago. How could it be coveted by others? Little Shui gave him a piece the size of a baby's fist. It's enough to share with me. Master Ning said matter-of-factly. What? Lu Feng's eyes widened as he looked at Master Ning. A piece the size of a baby's fist, was that even possible? Chapter 1195, Yuan Xi, 4, not only him. Even Mo Yan and Lu Yue, who had come with him, were stunned. They all looked at Master Ning in disbelief. They were suspicious of the truth of Master Ning's words. Why are you all looking at me? I don't have any elemental breath in my hands. The elemental breath has been kept by this stinky old man. You guys can go and ask him for it. Master Ning said with an evil smile. Grandpa. Lu Feng called out softly. Master. Mo Yan also called out. Although Lu Yue did not shout, she looked at First Elder with anticipation. The girl did give me a piece of primordial breath. The First Elder didn't deny it, but he still glared at Master Ning in secret. The girl said that she's going to help us refine some living equipment. The Great Elder added. For us? Lu Feng was pleasantly surprised. This little fox still had some conscience. However, since it was for them, they couldn't let Master Ning keep an eye on it. Thinking of this, Lu Feng smiled and said to Master Ning, Uncle Ning, looks like you don't have a share of the essence breath, I'm really sorry. Who said I didn't? My goddaughter gave it to you. Master Ning reminded them, unwilling to give up. They couldn't even think about getting rid of him. Ah. Grandfather, is that essence chi really the size of a baby's fist? Lu Feng asked helplessly. It seemed that old man Ning was too lazy to give it to them, and he was the little fox's godfather, so he really couldn't refuse. Yes. The Great Elder nodded, then stared at Master Ning and said, Old man Ning, I've said it before, you have to prepare the materials yourself. I can provide the origin energy. No problem. Seeing that his goal had been achieved, Master Ning also laughed happily. However, the First Elder, who had been robbed, was not in a good mood. Leng Ruoxua looked at the two adorable old men fighting and could not help but smile helplessly at the demon. She then took the room back to her room to study it. In the bracelet. Please reading on MYBOXNOVL, the demon watched as Shui took the small house and looked it up and down, then dripped her blood on it to recognize it as her master, and placed the room on an empty space in the space. In an instant, the house grew from small to large, exactly the same as the main residence they had built. As Len Ruoxue and the demon walked into the house, the beasts that were attracted followed them closely out of curiosity. They looked around the rooms one by one and then sat down in the garden. Shua, the spiritual qi here is not dense enough, but it's enough for living. The demon said with some regret. Demon, your requirements are too high. Actually, this house is not bad. If you want more spirit qi, you can set up a spirit gathering array inside. Len Ruoxue said helplessly. Yes, that's a good idea. With this room, we won't need to live in tents when we travel around the continent. Moreover, we can also live in this room when there are outsiders. The demon smiled. Although this house couldn't be compared to Shua Air's interspace, it wasn't as convenient for them to enter the interspace when there were outsiders around. Therefore, this house was a good choice. Sister, Fengde is looking for you. Just as the two of them were chatting, Qingju suddenly appeared. Oh. Len Ruoxue had an idea and left the bracelet with the evildoer. Fengde was waiting for her in the room. What's the matter? Len Ruoxue asked in confusion. The area of the nightmare forest was rather large, so she had sent Fengde and the rest out for the past few days. Other than investigating the situation inside the forest, she had also done so to confirm their private territory. After all, if they were to completely occupy a place where they could train, it would only lead to a collective attack from all the major factions. She did not want to be in the limelight now, so she decided to open up a piece of land. It was open to the public, but it had to be under her control. The reason why she had such an idea was also based on the rules of the Green Dragon Mountain. Miss, I've received news from City Lord Yen. The number of people entering the city has increased several times over the past few days. I'm guessing they're from the major forces. Fengde reported that no one knew that the 5 cities, including Yanbei, belonged to them. That was why they could easily grasp the movements of those forces. That's normal. It would be strange if they didn't come. Len Ruoxue laughed evilly. These factions had arrived at the right time. She was just about to kill the chicken to warn the monkeys. Otherwise, she would not have asked her godfather to disclose their relationship. Otherwise, if Master Ning had said that his goddaughter had taken a fancy to the nightmare forest, who would dare to object? Chapter 1196, Gifts for the Major Factions, 1, Hehe. This time, well, let them know how powerful we are. Fengde said with a smirk. Yes, Fengde. Go and prepare yourself. We're going to welcome our guests. Len Ruoxue chuckled. All right. Miss, I'm going out. After Fengde finished speaking, he turned around and left. 2 days later. All the major forces in the Nightmare Forest had gathered. Not only that, but the Wen family, Fan family, Yao family, Qing family, Ning family, and Qi family from the 8 god domains had all sent people here. The other forces also seemed to see them as the leaders. The various forces gathered in groups of 3 to 5. There were also those who hated each other and opposed each other at first sight, such as the Wen family and the Fan family. The arrival of the Ascender Alliance seemed to have raised this disharmonious atmosphere to a new height. After they set up their tents in the encampment chosen by the various forces, the familiar forces began to chat with each other. The purpose of their conversation was nothing more than how to deal with this matter. After all, the Nightmare Forest originally had no owner, and anyone could come as they pleased. Now that it was occupied, how could they accept it? It was like something that didn't cost any money suddenly belonged to someone else. Even if one didn't want it, one would feel extremely unbalanced. It was because of this imbalance that they came here together. Qi Rui was the head of the Qi family's representative in the Nightmare Forest. However, he was not here to condemn anyone, but to congratulate them. Naturally, the Ning family had the same intention as him. Ning Fei came in person. Except for the first elder who stayed in the main house, almost all the other elders of the Ning family came. They came here to congratulate and also to meet the ancestor of the Ning family. However, they didn't head straight for Leng Ruoxue and the others' residence. Instead, like the other major factions, they set up a simple camp in the forest. The Qi family and the Ning family's bases were next to each other, so the people of the two families were now gathered together and chatting. Why did Master Ning come in person? Qi Rui looked at Ning Fei in confusion. He more or less knew about the Ning family's situation, and he was also clear that Leng Ruoxue had something to do with the blood reformation of the Ning family. Could it be that Ning Fei came here personally because of this? My family's old ancestor is here, of course I'm here. Ning Fei said nervously. He was afraid of his serious ancestor, but he wanted to be treated differently by his ancestor. Therefore, he was very conflicted. Master Ning hasn't left the godly mainland yet? Qi Rui said in surprise. When Master Ning had sent people to take Ning Rong, and the others away, the Qi family had thought that Master Ning had already returned to the divine world. Please reading on MYBOXNOVL, no, he's always been with Miss Leng. I'm afraid that Miss Leng's decision to make the Nightmare Forest her territory has caused public anger. Ning Fei said worriedly. However, with the great ancestor's support, those forces would not dare to make things difficult for Leng Ruoxue. Leng Ruoxue wouldn't be afraid. Although he had not spent much time with Leng Ruoxue and the others, he was well aware of their fearless nature. Some of the forces that came today would probably not be able to return. Yup. There's nothing to be afraid of about Miss Leng. Old Grand Madam will definitely support her. Ning Fei said. He thought that Qi Rui said that Leng Ruoxue wouldn't be afraid because of their ancestor, so he couldn't help but agree. Ah. Master Ning, you've misunderstood. Even without your Ning family's old ancestor, Leng Ruoxue and the others won't be afraid. Qi Rui explained. That's true. If Miss Leng was a timid person, my family's old ancestor would not have accepted her as his goddaughter. Ning Fei sighed. How good would it be if he could make the old ancestor see him in a different light? Unfortunately, the thought of meeting the ancestor made him extremely nervous. Goddaughter? When did this happen? Qi Rui's eyes widened in disbelief. The Ning family's elder, who was not easy to get along with, had actually taken Leng Ruoxue in as his goddaughter. They had not heard of this at all back in Qi City. I don't know, Ning Fei was also confused. He didn't dare to inquire about this matter. Otherwise, the old ancestor would definitely eat him. As the two of them were chatting, they suddenly heard a few loud sounds. They looked up at the same time and saw a few people fighting not far away. From the clothes of the people in the chaotic battle, they should be from the Wen and Fan families. Seeing this, Qi Rui and Ning Fei didn't think much of it, because they knew very well that these two families had never liked each other. Sometimes, they might maintain a friendly relationship on the surface, but in private, they often fought. But this time, they actually started fighting in front of so many forces. It must be a big deal, Qi Rui and Ning Fei secretly guessed at the same time. Very quickly, the people who were in conflict were pulled apart by the people from their respective families. However, those people still glared at each other. Who allowed you to fight without permission? The sixth elder of the Wen family who was leading the group glared at his own junior with a face full of anger. Damn it, they actually fought in public. The Wen family had lost all face. Sixth elder, the Fan family has gone too far. They've actually stolen our prey. A young man from the Wen family said indignantly. Who stole your prey? We were the ones who got it first. The man from the Wen family had just finished speaking when someone from the Fan family immediately retorted. We saw it first, the man from the Wen family shouted. Who can you blame if you didn't see it? Don't you know the rules? Of course, it belongs to whoever hits it. A member of the Fan family said with a proud expression. Sixth elder, the Fan family has gone too far. Don't stop us. We must teach them a good lesson. The Wen family was enraged by the Fan family's provocation. Have you all forgotten why we came to the forest? I didn't bring you here to cause trouble, so you'd better behave. The sixth elder roared in anger. In the face of his might, the Yuan family did not dare to speak. At this time, the elder leading the Fan family team also said with a smile, "Hee, as one of the 8 great divine regions, we should help each other and fight against a common enemy. How can we fight among ourselves first?" Chapter 1197, Gifts for the Major Factions, 2, Yup. We can't use internal coaxing. Someone immediately echoed. Their purpose for coming here was naturally to discuss Leng Ruoxia's matter of marking the Nightmare Forest as her territory. There was a tacit understanding between the various factions. This time, they had to use pressure to chase Leng Ruoxia and her group out of the forest. This forest belonged to everyone on the godly mainland. How could it become a private territory? It must be known that their respective families would send people here almost every year to gain experience and obtain a lot of resources from the forest. Therefore, none of them were willing to let this natural treasure house become the territory of any one force. This was a serious violation of the interests between them, and it was not allowed by the major forces. With the help of the elder of Fan family and the agreement of the others, the people who were in conflict with the two families had to calm down. Although they were all unwilling, no one dared to doubt the words of their elder. However, what they did not know was that their every move in the forest was within Leng Ruoxia's grasp. In the living room of the Leng family's main residence, Leng Ruoxia sat on a chair and chuckled as she explained what had happened in the forest to the crowd. Instantly, the crowd burst into laughter. "Miss, they're clearly here to cause trouble for us. However, they're coaxing us before they even see us. It's really too funny," Fengde said with a smirk. He had prepared some gifts for those forces in the forest, but he didn't know if they could take it. He didn't want to die before he even saw them. He would be very disappointed. Those forces are all gathered together because they have a common interest. Of course, their hearts are not united. However, this is more beneficial to us. Leng Ruoxia laughed evilly. This time, she intended to kill the chicken to warn the monkeys. However, she had to choose the chicken carefully. It couldn't be someone from the 8 great divine regions. After all, she didn't want to have too big of a conflict with the 8 great divine regions yet. Moreover, the other party's power couldn't be too small. Otherwise, it wouldn't be enough to serve as a warning to the monkeys. Who should she choose? Leng Ruoxia was conflicted. Leng Ruoxia was in a dilemma. However, the various factions in the forest had also received their first gift from Fengde. The various forces, forest encampments. It was time to prepare dinner, and some forces had already started to eat. Suddenly, a buzzing sound entered everyone's ears. What's that sound? Everyone raised their heads in unison and couldn't help but ask each other. However, no one could give them an answer. Reading on MYBO Snow Velcom please. Master Ning, do you recognize this voice? Qi Rui asked Ning Fei in a low voice. There were naturally many poisonous insects in the forest, but the sound was like that of bees, so he was not sure. It should be a bee type. Master Ning said hesitantly. In fact, it was normal for bees to appear in the forest, but the sound was still far away. However, the buzzing sound reached their ears, so it could be imagined how many bees there were. I think we should make early preparations. Qi Rui reminded. Yes. Ning Fei nodded, and then he gave the elders a look, and they immediately became alert. Not long after, the buzzing sound got closer and closer, and everyone's hearts were on tenterhooks. In the blink of an eye, everyone saw a dark cloud in the sky flying towards them. Heavens! They're poisonous bees, and there are so many of them. All the major powers were dumbfounded when they saw the tens of thousands of poisonous black bees. Although they had a lot of people, no one was confident that they would not be hurt by these poisonous bees. Moreover, there was more than one type of poisonous bee, and even the most powerful black queen bee was among them. The timid ones were already trembling in fear. Quickly eat the antidote pill. At this time, someone shouted. When everyone heard this, they quickly took out an antidote pill from their storage rings and quickly stuffed it into their mouths. Although they didn't know if this antidote pill would be effective against the poisonous bees, it was better than nothing. As for the poisonous bees nearby, after seeing their actions, they didn't immediately attack, and even gave them enough time to eat the detoxification pills. However, everyone was a little too nervous, so no one noticed the abnormal behavior of the bees. After they finished eating the antidote, the swarm of bees officially began their attack. In an instant, everyone present was surrounded by the swarm of bees. There were at least 1,000 poisonous bees around each person, and those who had never seen such a scene before immediately fainted from fear. Even so, the swarm of bees did not let them go. After the thousands of poisonous bees stung them, they flapped their wings and flew away with a look of disgust. The Qi clan and Ning clan members were treated differently by the swarm of bees. Although they were surrounded by many poisonous bees, these bees did not take the initiative to attack them, but instead stared at each other. Even so, the Qi clan and Ning clan members were extremely nervous and looked at the swarm of bees surrounding them with vigilance. Master Ning, did the bees attack you? Qi Rui, who felt that something was wrong, couldn't help but transmit his voice. No, they didn't attack you. Ning Fei couldn't help but ask. He couldn't help but wonder, what the hell do these bees mean? They surrounded him but didn't attack him. Could it be that they wanted to have a mental battle? However, the situation in front of him was indeed quite frightening. Since the bees were not attacking, he did not dare to act rashly. He did not want to anger the bees and the consequences would be more serious. At the same time, Ning Fei sent a message to his elders to ask about their current situation. The answer he got was that the bees didn't attack, which made him confused. But he didn't forget to remind the elders that if the bees didn't attack, they shouldn't attack first, or it would be bad if more bees were attracted. The bee colony glared at them for a while before flapping its wings and flying away. Ah! Master, what's going on? The Ning family's elder was so puzzled that he was about to frown. I don't know, Ning Fei was also confused. Could it be said that they had good character? Master Ning, let's not think about this for now. Let's think about how well explain it when others ask. Qi Rui reminded. So many people had been stung by the poisonous bees, and they were the only ones safe and sound. It would definitely arouse suspicion. Chapter 1198, Gifts for the Major Factions, 3, What's there to explain? We have a good character. Others can't be envious of us. Ning Fei said disapprovingly, humph. He wanted to see who would dare to question him. Master is right, we have a good character. As soon as Ning Fei finished his words, some elders immediately agreed, and the other elders also nodded in agreement. Ah! Looking at the proud faces of the Ning family, Qi Rui couldn't help but feel a few black lines slide down his forehead, and couldn't help sighing. This Ning family, from master to elder, was a little too narcissistic. This has nothing to do with character, okay? However, since the Ning family felt that it was because of his good character, then they would use this reason for the time being. As for whether others believed it or not, it was none of their business. After the bees finished their sting, they flew away as if they had completed their mission. Apart from the Ning clan and Qi clan, the rest of the people present were all covered in wounds and were in a terrible state. Their faces were covered in countless red spots of different sizes, and many of them had even fainted because their cultivation was low, unable to resist the corrosion of the poison. Why are you all fine? The elder of the Yao family couldn't help but roar in anger when he saw Ning Fei, Qi Rui, and the others were perfectly fine. This was really infuriating. They had all been stung beyond recognition, but the people of the Ning family and Qi family were fine. How could he not be envious and jealous? Ning Fei and Qi Rui looked at each other, sharing the same thought. The troublemaker had indeed come. However, the two of them were prepared and said in unison, we have good character. You can't be envious of our character. As soon as the two finished speaking, not only was the Yao family elder angry, but almost all the major forces were angry. In an instant, the people who had been stung less by the poisonous bees all gathered in front of the Ning family and Qi family's encampment and stared at them with unfriendly expressions. Humph. Do you think we will believe your nonsense? Those poisonous bees must be related to you. Otherwise, why didn't they sting you? Why did they sting every one of us? The Yao family elder shouted at the top of his lungs as if he was afraid that no one else could hear him. Elder Yao, what do you mean? Ning Fei asked in confusion. Are those poisonous bees under your control? Ning Fei, what is your purpose? Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you're the leader of the 8 great divine regions. Let me tell you, with our Yao family here, don't even think about hiding the sky with one hand. The Yao family elder said indignantly. Elder Yao, have you been stung silly by the bees? It would be great if I could control those poisonous bees. Ning Fei couldn't help rolling his eyes. That's right. If we can control the bees, your Yao family will be our first target. An elder of the Ning family also said with disdain. What did you just say? If you say that you're not the ones controlling it, then how do you explain the swarm of bees? The Yao family elder pressed on. Reading on MYBO Snow Velcom please. Elder Yao, you're asking us, but who should we ask? We also want to find out. Why don't you call those bees back and interrogate them yourself? Another elder of the Ning family sneered. Yup. Since Elder Yao Wu suspects that we're colluding with those bees, we'll personally capture those bees and interrogate them. It's good to prove our innocence. Qi Rui laughed evilly. You're clearly in cahoots with him. The Yao clan elder repeated angrily, his face red with anger. Why don't you show us how you're colluding? Qi Rui said expectantly. He wanted to have those poisonous bees as his subordinates, but unfortunately, the queen bee would not recognize a master. The 5th elder was so angry that he couldn't say anything. The others didn't dare to say anything either, because they all knew that the bees didn't belong to anyone. It was only the 5th elder of the Yao family who was so aggressive because of his jealousy. However, the fact that the Yao family dared to provoke the Ning and Qi families didn't mean that the others would agree. They didn't have the courage to do so, not to mention that only the Yao family had spoken. The Qing family and the other families of the 8 divine domains, who had also suffered, didn't say anything, so they naturally didn't need to offend the Ning and Qi families like the Yao family. Elder Yao Wu, on the account that we all belong to the 8 great divine regions, don't blame us for not warning you. Hurry up and treat your injuries. Otherwise, if the bees come back, you'll be in deep trouble. Qi Rui said with a smile. Young Master Qi, are you cursing us? The 5th elder of the Yao family said loudly. I'm just reminding you. If Elder Yao Wu insists on treating my good intentions as a curse, then just pretend I didn't say anything. Qi Rui said nonchalantly. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone heard a buzzing sound again. Their faces turned pale and they were all panicking. He's really here. What do we do? Someone said in fear. What are you afraid of? Can't we deal with those poisonous bees with so many people? The 5th elder of the Yao family bit the bullet and rebuked. We really can't deal with it. Someone mumbled softly, and his words were the same as everyone else's. If they could deal with it, would they still be stung? Who is it? Who said that? The 5th elder of the Yao family said angrily. As soon as he finished speaking, the swarm of bees that had left and returned instantly arrived in front of him. In the blink of an eye, the 5th elder was surrounded by the dense swarm of bees. When the others saw this, their faces turned pale with fear. Some of them even pretended to faint. However, no matter what their reactions were, the swarm of bees did not intend to let them go. After stinging them again, the swarm of bees swaggered away. The bees are definitely with you. The Yao family's 5th elder, who had been stung all over his head and body, hatefully said. Elder Yao Wu, even though we sympathize with you, you can't wrong us like this. Qi Rui said with an aggrieved expression. This time, the bees left and returned, and the one who was stung the most was the fifth elder of the Yao family. However, he did not sympathize with him at all. Instead, he was gloating. It would be good if the sting was more vicious. That's right. Elder Yao Wu, are you sure you want to blame your misfortune on us? Ning Fei asked with a smile. Chapter 1199, Gifts for the Major Factions, 4. The Yao family's fifth elder was taken aback by their question. In truth, he didn't really want to blame it on them. It was just that he felt unbalanced when he saw that the people from both families were unscathed. Everyone, I hope that all of you can make your own judgments and not be affected by others. Also, don't forget that we have always been with you. How can we collude with the bees? Besides, have you ever heard of anyone who can control bees? Qi Rui rolled his eyes at the fifth elder and said to the others. Yup. This is simply impossible. The fifth elder of the Yao family must have gone mad with anxiety. Someone heard Qi Rui's words and quickly tried to smooth things over. Your injuries are not light, and it's already night time, when the poisonous insects in the forest are the most active. So, everyone, quickly heal your injuries. Qi Rui kindly reminded again. As for whether or not people would not appreciate it, that was not within his scope of consideration. After hearing Qi Rui's words, everyone became anxious. They couldn't be bothered to watch the show anymore and quickly took out their best antidotes and ate them. However, their antidotes couldn't completely remove the poison from the wasps. Everyone's face was still red and swollen, but it wasn't a big deal. After spending the night in fear, the swarm of bees that they were so afraid of did not bother them anymore. The next day, the various major forces could not wait any longer and began to search for Leng Ruoxue and the others. They had come here with the intention of launching a surprise attack to catch Leng Ruoxue and the others off guard. However, they did not know the exact location of Leng Ruoxue and the others. Hence, they could only wander around the forest like headless flies. However, after searching for a day, they did not find anything. Hence, they could only return to the encampment. After dinner, everyone went to bed early. Midnight. The people who were not sleeping well were woken up by the rustling sound. However, when they opened their eyes, they almost fainted from fear because they were surrounded by giant spiders. Each of them was the size of a millstone, and their lantern-like eyes were staring at them. They clearly saw them as prey. Reading on MYBO Snow.com please. Ah! The screeches reverberated in the forest. These spiders were more disgusting than the poisonous bees, and they were more terrifying. When the Qi family and the Ning family heard the scream, they quickly came out of their tents. The people from the two families looked at each other, curious about what those people had encountered. What happened? Qi Rui quickly asked when he saw someone running out of the tent. Spider. A giant spider. Help me. When that person saw the Qi family and Ning family, he ran towards them, and there were several large spiders chasing after him. Qi Rui, Ning Fei, and the others were a little unhappy when they saw that the man had actually led the spiders to their side. However, they were still prepared to fight. Who knew that those big spiders actually ignored their existence and only chased after their target? They didn't even look at Qi Rui and the others. Seeing this, Qi Rui and the others had no choice but to let down their guard. It wasn't that they didn't want to save him. It was the spiders that ignored them. Qi Rui and the others couldn't help but think. However, the things that had happened in the past 2 days had been too strange. Whether it was the poisonous bees or the poisonous spiders, they had all turned a blind eye to them, which made them suspicious. However, at this moment, they did not link the strange incident that they had encountered to Leng Ruoxue. This was indeed not Leng Ruoxue's fault. In the bracelet, Leng Ruoxue and the others, who had a panoramic view of everything through the light screen, all laughed out loud. Ha ha ha. What an unlucky fellow. Let's see if they still dare to be smug now. Fengde said with a gloating expression. He was extremely satisfied with the gifts he had prepared for them. I wonder how many of their forces will dare to wander around in this forest after tonight. I'll wait and see. Lin Yuan also said. You little guys are really too bad. You can't even play with people like this. Although Lin Qingshan's mouth was filled with disapproval, his expression was one of joy. In truth, he wished that these people would stay in the forest forever. However, he could not say this out loud. Otherwise, Fengde and the others would be too proud. We were wrong. We should have just let them die. Fengde and Lin Yuan immediately admitted their mistakes. Chapter 1200, Tragic Forces, 1. It's not a bad idea to just let them die. Leng Ruoxue nodded. Ah. I'll make the arrangements immediately. Fengde was very anxious. Leng Ruoxue nodded and immediately placed Fengde into the bracelet. In fact, Fengde and Lin Yuan's words had reminded her. She had wanted to kill the chicken to warn the monkeys, but she had not chosen a suitable organization as a target to warn the monkeys. If the various large organizations suffered countless deaths and injuries before meeting them, it would attract even more people and make them understand the danger of Nightmare Forest. Hence, Leng Ruoxue had decided to change her strategy. At this time, the various major forces in the forest were still unaware of the kind of danger they were facing. If the previous fight was just a small fight to scare them, then what they were about to face was the threat of death. The appearance of the giant spider made the people of the various forces who were already on tenterhooks even more frightened. Some people even thought of leaving the forest because this place was simply too terrifying. Actually, it wasn't like they had never been here before. It was just that they had never felt so dangerous before, and they hadn't been able to sleep well for the past 2 nights. After the giant spider retreated, everyone sat on the ground dejectedly. Some people's faces were still pale, while others were still trembling. They all looked listless and their clothes were in tatters. What do you two have to say now? The fifth elder's face was livid. He looked at Qi Rui and Ning Fei, who were safe and sound, and shouted angrily. Elder Yao Wu, are you trying to say that we are in cahoots with those giant spiders? Qi Rui joked in a good mood. Isn't it? Everyone can clearly see why those spiders are only chasing us and not you. Isn't that enough to explain the problem? The fifth elder of the Yao family roared loudly. His words were meant for everyone to hear clearly that this matter was not as simple as it seemed. Elder Yao Wu, I'm sorry. You'll have to ask those giant spiders about this. We really don't know them. Qi Rui said with a smile. However, his smiling face was an eyesore to the fifth elder of the Yao family. Did you guys hear that? He's clearly trying to shirk his responsibility. The fifth elder of the Yao family had learned his lesson this time and directly asked the people behind him. However, everyone was currently in a very low mood. No one was interested in accompanying him to cause trouble for the Ning and Qi families, so his words did not receive any response. I'm asking you a question. Are you all deaf? Seeing this, the fifth elder couldn't help but roar. Fuck, these cowards are really driving him to his grave. Can't someone echo his words? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but glare at his own clansmen. However, the people of the Yao family all lowered their heads, no one dared to look at him. Seeing this situation, the fifth elder was even angrier. Fifth elder of the Yao family, now is not the time to talk about this. Let's think about what we should do. If this continues, I'm afraid we'll be dead before we can even find Leng Ruoxue and the rest. At this moment, the elder leading the Cheng family's group spoke up. His face even had a trace of dissatisfaction towards the fifth elder of the Yao family. This old thing actually said that they were all deaf, which was preposterous. In fact, they just didn't want to cooperate. After all, they didn't want to offend the Ning and Qi families. More importantly, the Yao family's relationship with people had never been good, so they naturally didn't need to be on the same side as the fifth elder. Reading on MYBO Snow Velcom please. The Qing clan's first elder is right. Now isn't the time for internal strife. We should think about how to face the upcoming crisis. I have a feeling that things won't be so simple, so we must take early precautions. Ning Fei agreed with the first elder of the Qing family and chuckled. He said that because he wanted everyone to understand that they were on the same side and had the same goal. Humph. Those poisonous bees and spiders won't bite you, so what are you afraid of? The fifth elder of the Yao family said unhappily after hearing what Ning Fei said. Elder Yao Wu, you really don't know what's good for you. Of course I'm not afraid, I'm thinking for you guys. It's fine if you don't appreciate it, but don't influence other people's thoughts. Ning Fei warned, and his words were clearly meant for the others. Sure enough, after hearing Ning Fei's words, everyone present glared at the fifth elder of the Yao family with a bit of hostility. He was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He said that those poisonous bees and spiders were with the Nings and the Kais, and no one was cooperating with him. Now, with just a few words from Ning Fei, they all changed sides. What the hell was this? And the reason why he believed that everyone had switched sides was because he had never thought that they were not related to him in any way, nor did they have any deep friendship with the Yao clan, so why would they cooperate with him? Everyone, let's first discuss our countermeasures. Otherwise, if there are more poisonous bees or giant poisonous spiders, I don't think anyone can stand it. Ning Fei was very satisfied with the effect he had caused and smiled. Can we back out now? Whoever wants to occupy this forest can do so. We don't want to stay here any longer. The leader of a small force was the first to speak. His face was unusually careful, afraid of offending the others. However, at this moment, there was more than one family that had the same idea as him. Although they were all small forces, they were still a significant force when added together. However, other than one family, the other forces were all watching. What did you just say? I dare you to say that again. The Yao family's fifth elder glared at the person who spoke and fiercely said. Elder Yao Wu, be gentler. Don't scare her. Ning Fei said with a smile. We want to withdraw. We won't participate in this matter anymore. That person repeated in a low voice. They were only a small force and their strength was low. Therefore, even if this forest was not occupied by others, the benefits they could obtain from it would be limited. Thus, he felt that there was no need for them to lose their lives here. Woo! This place was really too dangerous. No. If any of you dare to back out, I'll kill you right now. The fifth elder of the Yao family refused, and the veins on his aged face bulged. Elder Yao Wu, since they want to withdraw, why force them? This is a matter of mutual consent, so don't think that just because you're a member of the Yao family, you can look down on those small forces. Qi Rui fanned the flames at the side, and his words resonated with some forces that wanted to withdraw. Chapter 1201, Tragic Forces, 2, Young Master Qi is right. Although we are a small force, we also have our dignity. We just know our own limits. So, Elder Yao Wu, please don't threaten us. Otherwise, we would rather destroy you than let you have an easy time. Compared to us, Elder Yao Wu's life is more precious. Someone in the crowd chimed in. However, the person who spoke was hidden in the crowd, so the fifth elder had no idea who the person was. Who is it? If you have the guts, get out here and don't hide. Hearing this, the fifth elder of the Yao family was completely enraged. Unfortunately, no one responded to his words. Elder Yao Wu, calm down. With your fiendish look, who would dare to come out? Ning Fei comforted her with a smile. Then, he said to the people present, the forest is full of danger. It's only been 2 days and we've already encountered so many poisonous bees and spiders. We can't say what will happen next, so if you want to leave, leave now. Don't lose your life here, it's not worth it. Ning Fei's words hit the nail on the head of quite a number of people. In an instant, many forces expressed their desire to quit. None of you are allowed to back out. Otherwise, I'll kill you right now. The fifth elder of the Yao family threatened again. Don't worry about him. If you want to leave, then leave quickly. Ning Fei looked at the fifth elder of the Yao family with a faint smile and said to the small forces who wanted to quit. With his words, the small forces looked at each other and immediately packed up their things and left. Although it was night time and it would be dangerous to walk in the forest, they felt that no matter how dangerous the road back was, it would be safer than being with them. Moreover, they had all left together. The forces that had backed down at the last minute accounted for almost 1/3 of the people present. As for those that remained, other than the people from the 8 great divine regions, there were also some of the larger powers like the Ascender Alliance. However, although they did not give up, their attitude towards this matter was no longer as high as before. After discussing the countermeasures, everyone decided to take a short rest. After all, they had been busy the whole night and were all exhausted. However, the number of people left behind to keep watch at night had doubled. It was clear that they were still afraid. The highly nervous forces wandered in the forest for another 2 days. After they found nothing, they were more or less annoyed. The fifth elder of the Yao family was so angry that he cursed all day long, and the Yao family became his most unlucky punching bag. For the past 2 days, the group had to search for Len Ruoxue and the rest during the day. At night, they had to be afraid and did not dare to sleep too deeply. Hence, after 2 days, everyone's mental state was somewhat dispirited. The longer they stayed in the forest, the more depressed their mood became. Fifth elder, how long will it take for us to search aimlessly? Someone from the Yao family couldn't help but ask. You're asking me, but who should I ask? The head of the family said that we must find them. The Yao family's fifth elder said in an unpleasant tone. But we don't even know where they are. It's useless for us to just walk around in the forest, right? That person said in a low voice. Reading on MYBO Snow Velcom please. It's because I don't know, that's why I'm looking for him. The fifth elder of the Yao family roared. Hee hee. Elder Yao Wu, why are you two quarreling? At this time, a teasing voice came into the ears of the fifth elder of the Yao family. He looked up and saw that it was Ning Fei. His old face immediately fell and he said in a bad mood, this is our Yao family's matter and has nothing to do with you. Of course it has nothing to do with me. However, I'm just concerned about you. Ning Fei said with a fake smile and a face full of concern. Who needs your concern? The fifth elder of the Yao family didn't appreciate it at all. AI. It seems that I was wrong. I wanted to say that we have a lot of food and wanted to share it with you, but I guess you won't want it. Ning Fei said with a regretful look. For the past 2 days, the other forces had been trying to find Len Ruoxue and the others. They were not in the mood to hunt, so they could only eat dry food. The Ning and Qi families naturally did not need to be like them. Hence, the 2 families had hunted quite a lot of prey together. They had fresh meat to eat every day, and they had a big meal every day. This caused many people to be envious, including the Yao family. Who said I don't want it? Where was it? Give it to me. The fifth elder of the Yao family was more shameless than Ning Fei thought. Although he said he was not happy with the Nings and the Kais, he didn't hesitate when he asked for the item. I'm sorry, I don't want to give it to you again. Ning Fei said unhappily and then turned to leave. You, the fifth elder of the Yao family was so angry that his face and neck turned red. He stammered for a long time, but he couldn't even finish a sentence. When Ning Fei returned to his family's base, Qi Rui immediately went up to him and asked curiously, how is it? I didn't find out anything. I didn't get along with that old thing, so I came back after a few words. Ning Fei said honestly. It turned out that sending food was just an excuse. The reason he went to find the fifth elder of the Yao family was to see what the Yao family planned. However, he couldn't hold it in anymore and came back. Ah. Do you want me to try? Qi Rui asked. Don't go yet. I just went. If you go again, that old thing will become suspicious. Ning Fei said after thinking for a while. All right then. By the way, dinner is ready. Qi Rui reminded. Well, let's eat. Ning Fei said with a smile. These days, the two families often ate together, and their friendship had improved a lot. After dinner, the Ning family and Qi family returned to their tents as usual. To them, there was no danger in this forest, so they had a good rest these days. As for the people from the other forces, when they saw that they didn't even have any night watchmen left, they were filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. However, they couldn't afford to offend the other party, so they could only hide their anger in their hearts. That night, the major forces were attacked by the bees again. In addition to the giant spiders, there were also some poisonous scorpions. However, although they heard the movement outside, the Qi family and the Ning family had a tacit understanding and did not come out. Chapter 1202, Tragic Forces, 3, the next morning. When the people of the Ning and Qi families came out of their tents and saw the scene in front of them, they were all shocked speechless. What? What was going on? In front of them, there were corpses of humans, poisonous bees, poisonous scorpions, and spiders. It was obvious that the battle last night was more intense than they had imagined because some people had died, and there were many of them. They originally thought that even if the major forces were attacked again, they would at most be poisoned like the previous 2 times, but their lives would not be in danger. However, they were wrong. The attack last night should have caused a lot of damage to the major forces. After seeing the situation in front of them, the two families spontaneously searched the scene. After some observation, the two families found that the Yao family had suffered the most losses, followed by the Wen family. Although the other forces also suffered casualties, their situation was relatively better. Elder Yao Wu, are you alright? Looking at the fifth elder of the Yao family who had wounds all over his body and face, Ning Fei tried to hold back the joy in his heart and asked with concern. After last night, no one from the Yao family who came to the Nightmare Forest survived except for the fifth elder. He couldn't help but sigh. The poisonous insects' eyes were really sharp. They could actually tell that the Yao family was not a good person. The others were all dead, leaving only the fifth elder behind. It could be seen that those poisonous insects were quite bad. I don't need your fake kindness. Of course I'm fine. The fifth elder of the Yao family said weakly. Last night, those poisonous bees, scorpions, and spiders had all attacked them as if they didn't care about their lives. He didn't know what kind of medicine they had taken. After yesterday, he was the only person from the Yao family who had come to the forest. However, he had already sent the news back to the family. It wouldn't be long before the family sent people here again. This time, his primary goal was to eliminate those damn poisonous insects. Master Ning, Elder Yao Wu must be in a bad mood right now. Let's not disturb him. Qi Rui walked over with a look of sympathy. You're right, let's go and see the others. Ning Fei nodded in agreement. Then, the two of them left in front of the fifth elder. Although they had left, the fifth elder of the Yao family kept staring at them with his venomous snake-like eyes. When he saw that they were all in high spirits and unscathed, the anger in his heart surged up. Suddenly, he felt a sweet taste in his throat, but he swallowed it. Qi Rui and Ning Fei left the Yao family's encampment, chatting as they walked back to their home. Master Ning, I'm afraid this old man from the Yao family also hates us. Qi Rui looked in the direction of the Yao family and said. This is very normal. The Yao family has always been narrow-minded. Even if something happens, they won't find the reason on themselves. However, I'm afraid that the other forces are also dissatisfied with us. Ning Fei said worriedly. Reading on MYBO Snow Velcom please. You can't blame us for this. Who knew that it would be so tragic last night? Qi Rui said disapprovingly. Since they were tied to the Ning family, they didn't think that those people would dare to do anything to them even if they were dissatisfied. So, he was really not afraid. Moreover, it was not their fault that those poisonous insects refused to find them. I didn't expect that either. Ning Fei said with a frown. Master Ning, since things have come to this, we shouldn't think too much. What they will do next is what we should be most concerned about. Qi Rui reminded. Before he arrived, his grandfather had reminded him to perform well and leave a good impression on Leng Ruoxue and the others. Yes. Ning Fei nodded. After last night's incident, the major forces suffered heavy losses. However, they all sent the news back as soon as possible. In the next few days, they quietly stayed in the Nightmare Forest, waiting for their families to send people to help. During this time, Leng Ruoxue and the others had already made all the necessary preparations and were just waiting for the fish to take the bait. In contrast to the nervous mood of the people in the forest, Leng Ruoxue and the others were in a relatively good mood. 5 days later, the people from the various factions who had come to support them had finally arrived. However, they did not want these people to easily find a place to stay. Hence, Leng Ruoxue had specially set up a bewildering formation in the forest. In the forest. After the various factions made a few rounds in the forest, they discovered that they had been wandering in the same place. This fact could not help but make them burn with anger. Damn it, what the hell is this place? How did this happen? The fifth elder of the Yao family couldn't help but curse. He had been to this place a few days ago, and it didn't look like this. It had only been a few days, and he actually couldn't recognize it anymore. It was really infuriating. Fifth brother, calm down. If I'm not wrong, we've entered a bewildering formation. The Yao family's second elder spoke. He had some knowledge of formations, but it wouldn't be easy to break this bewildering formation. Then what do we do? The fifth elder of the Yao family asked gloomily. He knew nothing about formations. Don't worry, let me think. The Yao family's second elder said with a frown. Second elder Yao, I've heard that you're very knowledgeable in formations. We'll be relying on you this time. Qi Rui chuckled, his face calm. Young Master Qi, I only have a superficial knowledge of formations. I can't be considered to have studied them. Moreover, it's difficult for me to get out of this maze by myself, so please don't stand by and watch. The second elder of the Yao family hurriedly said. Second elder Yao is too humble. Who doesn't know that you're the most proficient in arrays in the divine mainland? Ning Fei said with a smile. Yup. That's right. We all know that second elder Yao has the most knowledge in formations. Hearing Ning Fei's words, everyone quickly agreed. When the second elder of the Yao family heard this, his nose almost went crooked from anger. Were these people planning to be hands-off managers? This was preposterous. Second elder Yao, you can slowly observe this bewildering formation. Well, go to the other side to stay so as not to disturb you. Qi Rui said with an evil smile. Then, he pulled his family members to the other open space. Before he left, he gave Ning Fei a look. Ning Fei understood and immediately followed him with the elders of his family. The others also hid to the side. In the blink of an eye, only the Yao clan members were left in the middle of the bewildering formation. Second brother, should we also go over there? The fifth elder of the Yao family probed as he wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Other than the second elder, the rest of the Yao family didn't know anything about formations, so they wouldn't be of much help here. He thought to himself with some apprehension. It'll break the legs of anyone who dares to leave. The second elder of the Yao family roared with a face full of anger. With this roar, all the people of the Yao family who had wanted to slack off became obedient. Qi Rui and Ning Fei couldn't help but laugh in their hearts when they saw the Yao family's cautious expressions. However, they were not members of the Yao family, so the second elder would not vent his anger on them even if he was angry. That old man was much smarter than the fifth elder. Just like that, Qi Rui and the others watched the second elder of the Yao family looking for the formation core in the maze every day while they enjoyed the good food and drinks and watched the fun. From time to time, they would also ask about the progress of the maze. However, every time they asked the second elder of the Yao family, the old man would pull a long face, obviously not liking to hear this question. A week later. Everyone was still trapped in the bewildering formation. Other than the Qi and Yao families, the other powers could no longer sit still. They constantly sent people to ask the second elder about the situation of the bewildering formation. In the end, they only dared to speak after being scolded by the second elder. The second elder of the Yao family was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. Other than pacing around, he didn't seem to have any good ideas. Seeing the second elder walking back and forth, Qi Rui couldn't help but whisper to Ning Fei, "Master Ning, it looks like the second elder of the Yao family can't do anything about this array. I don't know how long we'll have to stay here. AI. We'll run out of food if we stay here for a few more days." Ning Fei sighed and said helplessly. He didn't know how long Miss Leng was going to keep them here. Many of them were about to break down. "Don't worry, she won't let us starve to death here," Qi Rui said with confidence. "Yeah, you're right," Ning Fei agreed. At this moment, someone shouted, "The formation seems to have disappeared." After Qi Rui and Ning Fei heard this, they quickly walked to the second elder of the Yao family and said with a smile, "Second elder Yao is indeed proficient in array techniques. In such a short time, you've solved this bewildering array. Congratulations." Hee hee. The Yao family's second elder was rather calm when he heard their words because he knew very well that he wasn't the one who had solved the maze. It had disappeared on its own. Although he didn't know what had happened, he was smart enough to remain silent. However, some people weren't as low-key as him. When the fifth elder heard their words, he raised his head proudly and said loudly, "Of course, everyone knows the second elder of our Yao family's skill in formations. Is that so?" At this time, a calm voice rang out in everyone's ears. Everyone turned their heads in unison and saw a devastatingly beautiful woman standing not far away from them. Instantly, everyone was stunned. "Who are you?" The Yao family's fifth elder, who had regained his senses, asked with a stunned expression. "Elder Yao Wu, don't you know who I am?" Leng Ruoxue smiled and asked instead of answering. "You're Leng Ruoxue," the second elder of the Yao family said with certainty. "Hee hee. Second elder Yao is the smartest." Leng Ruoxue gasped in admiration, then turned to everyone and said, "I was afraid that you would get lost in the forest, so I came to welcome you." "Humph. Would you be so kind?" the second elder of the Yao family said with a look of disdain. He was now very sure that the bewildering formation was set up by Leng Ruoxue. Otherwise, the bewildering formation wouldn't have disappeared without a trace. Facing the enemy who had trapped them for several days, he really didn't have a good expression. "Why not? I was afraid that you wouldn't be able to find me, so I came to you myself." Leng Ruoxue chuckled, her beautiful eyes glistening with tears. Everyone's hearts immediately softened. Such a stunning beauty was looking at them pitifully, which man could refuse her? Furthermore, they had imagined countless scenarios where they would meet Leng Ruoxue and the rest, but they had never expected that they would be so stunned by Leng Ruoxue. Chapter 1203, Killing the Chicken to Warn the Monkeys, 1, Humph. Who knows what you're up to? The Yao family's second elder didn't appreciate it. "Second elder Yao, how could you do this? Miss Leng came to pick us up with good intentions, and you actually doubt her intentions. You're really too much." As soon as the second elder of the Yao family finished speaking, someone immediately voiced their dissatisfaction. You, don't be fooled by her beauty. She trapped us here for a few days, and now she's coming to pick us up. Anyone with a brain would know that she has bad intentions. The Yao family's second elder roared in exasperation. However, his words attracted the unkind gazes of countless people. Second elder Yao, are you saying that the grapes are sour because you can't eat them? But that's normal. Men your age don't have any fantasies about women. Qi Rui laughed evilly. His words caused the crowd to burst into laughter, while the second elder of the Yao family was so angry that his face turned red. Second elder Yao, I know that you have misunderstood me. I don't blame you. I'm here to welcome you with sincerity, but if you don't appreciate it, then forget it. Leng Ruoxue said disapprovingly. Miss Leng, we believe you. Upon hearing Leng Ruoxue's words, someone immediately expressed their opinion. If that's the case, then follow me up the mountain. As for those who don't believe me, feel free to do as you please. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Her smile was like 100 flowers blooming, and many people were instantly intoxicated by her beautiful smile. All right, well, go up the mountain with you. As soon as Leng Ruoxue finished, Qi Rui was the first to speak. I'll go too. Ning Fei didn't want to be left behind. When the other forces saw that the Qi family and the Ning family had made their stand, they also expressed their willingness to go up the mountain with Leng Ruoxue. Let's go. Leng Ruoxue looked at the second elder of the Yao family and said to the crowd. All right, he said. Qi Rui nodded. Following that, those who were willing to believe in Leng Ruoxue decided to follow her up the mountain. However, just as they were about to leave, they were stopped by the second elder of the Yao family. None of you are allowed to leave. Have you all forgotten why we are here? The second elder of the Yao family couldn't help but question. Second elder Yao, we've come here to solve the problem. We've only been here for a few days and all the forces have already suffered heavy losses. Therefore, we really don't want any more accidents to happen. Isn't it better for both sides to come to an agreement than to fight and kill? Qi Rui said with a smile, and his words made the other forces nod their heads. The things that happened in the forest these few days had indeed reduced the thoughts of the major forces to question them. Therefore, they only asked for their own interests to be guaranteed. As for whether the forest really had an owner, they no longer cared. Reading on MYBO Snow.com please. The major forces have indeed suffered heavy losses, but your Qi family and Ning family have not suffered any losses. May I ask young Master Qi why this is? The second elder of the Yao family questioned coldly, his face filled with dissatisfaction. Second elder Yao, I've already answered the fifth elder's question. You can just ask him, I won't repeat it. Qi Rui said calmly. Why should I ask him? I'm asking you. The second elder of the Yao family was extremely angry. A junior actually dared to be so arrogant in front of him. It was truly preposterous. I have no comment. Qi Rui said indifferently. You dare to talk to me like this? The second elder of the Yao family roared in disbelief. Second elder Yao, please be clear that I am not a member of the Yao family. Whatever status you have in the Yao family has nothing to do with me, so please don't use your status to pressure me. Qi Rui said in a neutral tone. That's right. What kind of skill is it to use your identity to suppress others? Someone in the crowd muttered softly. It was soft, but it was loud enough for everyone to hear. Hee, second elder Yao must be tired from the past few days. Young Master Qi, please forgive him. Ning Fei smiled and tried to smooth things over. Well, for the sake of Master Ning, I won't argue with him. Qi Rui nodded. The two of them echoed each other, angering the Yao family's second elder so much that his face alternated between red and white. His entire body trembled continuously, and he was unable to speak. However, even so, Qi Rui and Ning Fei did not intend to let him go. The two looked at each other, and then Ning Fei said, young Master Qi, it seems like second elder Yao knows he's wrong. It's best to correct one's mistakes. Second elder Yao, I forgive you. Don't be so agitated, just stay calm. Qi Rui played dumb. Second elder Yao is too excited. I don't have time to deal with you now. Let's go. Len Ruoxua laughed evilly. Seeing the Yao family being provoked, her mood was much better. Yes, let's go. Qi Rui and Ning Fei nodded. Then, the crowd left with Len Ruoxua. Second elder Yao, what should we do? A middle-aged man who had remained at the same spot could not help but ask. Most of the factions had left with Len Ruoxua. Although they wanted to leave with her, they did not dare to act rashly due to the Yao family's presence. After all, their own families had to rely on the Yao family. What can we do? Of course, well, follow them. Second elder Yao glared at the man who spoke and said in an unpleasant tone, "Humph." He didn't want to go up the mountain with Len Ruoxua, but that didn't mean that he wouldn't follow. Furthermore, they were here to question them. If Len Ruoxua used her beauty to win over all of them, it would be a huge loss. Second brother, they're going far away. Let's go. The fifth elder of the Yao family urged. Why are you so anxious? Don't forget who you are when you see a beautiful woman. Remember the purpose of our visit. The second elder of the Yao family reminded. I remember. However, if we don't hurry up and catch up with them, we won't be able to achieve our goal, said the fifth elder of the Yao family. He had originally wanted to seek revenge on those poisonous insects, but since he had met Len Ruoxua, he would settle the important matters first. AI. Let's go. The second elder of the Yao family said helplessly. This younger brother of his was good in every way, but he was just too lecherous. Following the Yao family's second elder's order, the rest of the people quietly followed Len Ruoxua and the rest. However, their every move was within Len Ruoxua's expectations. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.